With Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Charles Hanagriff, along with my broadcast partner, Jacob Hester. This is a very difficult day for us here at Guarantee. This morning, we found out about the passing of our friend Ruffin Rodrigue Jr. He was only 53 years old. If you've listened to the radio station at all, or if you are in any way an LSU fan, if you are a resident of Baton Rouge that's been to the restaurant or just met Ruffin in passing, you knew him. Because if you met him, he never met a stranger. It's one of those sayings that they say about people sometimes, but for Ruffin it was really, really true. And for me personally, for the better part of a decade, I spent one day a week on Fridays doing a show in the restaurant, Jimmy and I. And it was always a real positive jolt for my week. It was always a guarantee that I was going to see Ruffin barrel in there right before the show. And if you knew him, you were going to get a smile. You were almost certainly going to laugh. You were going to get a kickstart to your day. I was so lucky to know him. I was so lucky to be able to spend some time with him on a weekly basis because I'm sure the guy had bad days. I just never saw him have one. And there wasn't a negative bone in his body. He exuded positivity. The theme for the restaurant, the slogan for the restaurant is celebrate life. And there couldn't have been a more appropriate slogan for a business that Ruffin Rodrigue owned, because that's what he did, man, every single day. And he loved his family, and he loved LSU. Man, he loved LSU. There wasn't a single thing that he didn't love about the university. He cared a tremendous amount about this community. The pandemic that struck so many restaurant owners, business owners, small business owners, Ruffin was, on the governor's task force to try and help them out. It was a big part. I've got a picture of him the first day that they opened phase one. He had a social distancing stick, There was nothing that he wouldn't do for a friend. There was nothing that he wouldn't do to help. This hit like a fist this morning. I'm having a little bit of a hard time, I'll be honest with you. Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, we'd always do the show, and of course it's a very busy day. Mm-hmm. They do gift cards that day, so they open the restaurant early, and every Black Friday there was Ruffin with a Christmas a box of Christmas lights that was big enough to brighten up half the city, right, and his staple gun. I mean, it was Black Friday. You had gift cards, you had Ruffin, his Christmas lights, and his staple gun. And we'd do the show, and he'd finish hanging up the lights, and the place would look real Christmassy. He'd do his tree, and we'd sit down and watch the football game on Friday afternoon. That's just in a couple of days, and it kills me that he's not going to be there, man.
He made it such an experience to go to Ruffino's and sit down with him, and for him to tell his stories. And no matter who I do shows with across the country, once they find out, okay, LSU, Baton Rouge, been to Ruffino's during an LSU game weekend, and they're like, oh, Ruffin's the best. I'm talking about everybody, Kirk Herbstreit, Tim Tebow, Peter Burke, like it doesn't matter. They have a Ruffin story because of what you said. He never met a stranger. He had a great personality. He was a great storyteller. Yeah. One of the best storytellers I've ever been around. And he had this energy about him every single time you saw him, right? There was never hey, how's it going? No, that wasn't it with Ruffin. I mean, Ruffin was the life of the party and always had a smile on his face and a song in his heart, and he was probably going to sing it to you. One of the things we love about Ruffin. So, man, he touched so many people through not only his restaurant, but his LSU playing days and just everything that he did for Baton Rouge because it meant something to him.
He was optimistic to the point of I'm searching for the word. Basically, oblivion. One of my favorite stories. Okay, then this kind of sums up Ruffin, and we used to poke at him about it a little bit. He would tell a story about the Miami game. Okay, in 1988,
Right.
and LSU lost the game 44-3. But if you heard Ruffin tell the story, they were right there, man.
Right.
They had a chance. If Ruffin were here today and I told him that LSU was playing the Pittsburgh Steelers on Saturday, he'd say, well, if we can get the running game going. That's just how he was. He didn't want to hear about, well, man, this guy's hurt and this guy's better. No, we're okay. And he brought we were together. It ends up being the last time I saw him. We were up in Natchez watching football, Jimmy and I and some friends, and then he came up and he spent a couple hours, and it was we were in the casino. He says, "Hey, I won. Now I don't know what he won. He showed, he said, "Hey, I can't miss. I can't miss."
Right.
That was every day for him. I can't miss. Ruff, how'd you do on your picks? I'm 0-6, but I'm okay. I can't miss. This next one, I got it. I'm gonna miss him tremendously. I've had that commercial going in my head all morning.
Right.
And if you go to the restaurant, Ruffin would sing for you, and Ruffin, he could belt out an aria. Maybe Garth Brooks wasn't his best comparison, but he could belt out a happy birthday with the best of them, and he wanted to make you feel special when you went in the restaurant. That's where my wife would go on her birthday. Where we're going to go, the Ruffino's. You get the little
every year.
Yeah, you get they want to make it special for you. He'd come by the table, and and it wasn't just because he knew me. He did that with just about everybody. We're starting to get some stories and things like that from those that knew him best. But this is going to be a rough one. This is going to be very, very difficult for us here at Guarantee, because everybody in the building,
everybody, in the building. It's not often that one person can have an impact on an entire company, but he did. I mean, every show here has a Ruffin moment. Right, I mean, we could go from the top to bottom. Obviously, Gordy and Flynn, they have Ruffin moments. I mean, I think about G. Rush right now, because I mean, him and G were so close.
They were best man at each other's wedding. I feel like I was so fortunate to be able to go in there once a week for so long, and just get my jolt to Ruffin, whether he was going to sing or he was going to, we love to hear him name drop, because he wanted to tell you, hey, guess what I was doing, guess who I was with, and it was, and he made it fun. It wasn't self-serving. I never thought it was self-serving. I mean, maybe some people did, but it was just him celebrating life. I keep coming back to that. That saying, which again is their slogan. I know Jimmy feels the same way. I talked to him this morning. It's a rough go. Yeah. So here's what we're going to do today. Most of us either woke up to this news or got it very shortly thereafter this morning. It's only been a few hours. We didn't feel like it would be appropriate right now to reach out to Ruffin's friends to come on just in the next couple of hours. We're certainly going to do that maybe later today or in the coming days for sure. But frankly, it's a big ask, and we didn't feel like it was appropriate because most of his good friends are our good friends, and we didn't feel like just a few hours after getting the news that we wanted to ask them to come on. So we felt like that would be inappropriate at this hour. So we're going to wait just a little bit and let people grieve in their own way. And then when that time is over, we certainly want to celebrate the life of Ruffin Rodrigue Jr. So Hess did an interview this morning with Heather Dinich, and this is a real good time to play. I'm going to kind of gather ourselves here a little bit, and we'll play that for you, and then we'll go on about the show. We thank you for being with us here Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny. Off the Bench, Hangin' with Hester and Hanny, after further review and more, are all live daily on the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube channel. Subscribe now to interact with us inside the live chat driven by Bayou Ford.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business.
I'd make it available in dozens, if not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one but two NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech. Make your boating dreams come true. Front to Back Boat Services.
Toyotathon is happening now at Corval Toyota in Opelousas.
Get a 20 Highlander for $4,600 off of MSRP.
So come on down to Happy Town for Toyotathon. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas.
Happy Town, USA.
Join us for a Wednesday edition of Jimmy Ott's Game Time, live from Rouge Creole. Lots of action on deck for Thanksgiving Day in college and pro football. We break it all down beginning at 6 p.m. Come see us on Perkins Row or tune in here to 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back in. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, presented by Richards Honda. Last night, we got the initial college football playoff rankings. A lot of questions as far as, okay, well, who is going to be in the top 4? Where are the group of 5 teams going to be, Cincinnati and BYU? We caught up with Heather Dinage from ESPN earlier this morning, who does as well of a job as anyone covering the college football playoff rankings. And we asked her what her biggest surprise was.
It had to be BYU at 14. I mean, the combination of BYU at 14 and Georgia at 9, I was like, whoa, wait, what? So when you look at BYU, I understand. I absolutely understand that they have a dreadful schedule. But at the same time, we heard committee chair Gary Barta say more than one time that the eye test matters this year more than other years. If you watch BYU, they're pretty good. And then if you watch Georgia, I don't know. Tell me I'm wrong. What am I missing with Georgia? I don't think they pass the eye test or the resume test. But that's just me. So I disagree with the committee on that one. But those were the two things that jumped out to me.
You know, and listen, that was my first inclination as well, too. And you know, Heather, I drink as much SEC-related Kool-Aid as anyone, and I woke up this morning going, why the hell is Georgia at 4-2 top 10? Like, I think they are a top 10 team? Possibly. Do they deserve to be top 10? I didn't think so. But then I'm trying to figure out who else deserves that spot. Like, because it is a mixture of most deserving and best teams, correct?
It's supposed to be best teams, and who's better than Georgia? Well, I think you have to go through and look at the undefeated teams and the one-loss teams to answer that question. Part of the problem is why, for BYU, if you're a BYU fan, why are you looking up at 3 2-loss teams? Oklahoma's getting better, definitely. Georgia, I have a hard time understanding. We went through that, right? But that's kind of where I go with it, is the Indiana lost to Ohio State. I would probably put them ahead of Georgia. I would take Michael Penix Jr. right now in that offense over Georgia's offense. So, but again, this is a subjective system with 13 people having the same discussions that we're having right now. I just think the overriding takeaway from yesterday was, wow, BYU was probably a lot lower than most people thought they were going to be, because you got to be in the top 12-ish, usually, almost all the time, to be in a New Year's Six bowl. And I would think, based on what we've seen so far, BYU looks like a New Year's Six bowl team at the least, right? I can get it. Look, they're not going to be in the college football playoff, fine. But to be outside even the top 12 and that New Year's Six conversation, that doesn't mean they're not going to get there. But to me, that was the biggest whoa.
A little bit of a small surprise, I guess, that Clemson and Ohio State, where they came in, Clemson at 3, Ohio State at 4. Did that surprise you at all? Because I guess if you look at the resumes, obviously Clemson has 8 games compared to Ohio State's 4.
It surprised me just a little bit, only because Clemson has a loss and Ohio State doesn't, and you just kind of naturally say that. But I'll tell you what, after watching Ohio State against Indiana, that was bugging me. Because, again, if you're going to go to the eye test, Ohio State didn't pass it. Watch the game. They threw for almost 500 yards against the Buckeyes, and that's not the first time. Their secondary struggled against Rutgers, right? And then you have Justin Fields throw 3 interceptions. And they don't pass the resume test. With the exception of Indiana, their opponents are 2-12. So why is Ohio State there? So you can pick apart every team except for Alabama. Then you look at Clemson. They got the win against Miami, which is a top 10 team. They have, quote, a good loss to Notre Dame in double overtime without Trevor Lawrence. All things that make sense, all things the selection committee considered. It's just not applied consistently throughout the top 25. And I think that's what drives coaches, fans, and players bananas.
Yeah, and that's what creates so much debate, right? It's incredible content for us every single year, because I'm like, oh, it's the college football playoff rankings, whatever. They'll come out, but they don't really matter, and then we end up spending 3 hours debating it in every single one. The only thing consistent is that it's inconsistent every single year. A&M being 5 is interesting to me. Was that a signaling that they are truly, in play, or Is it as simple as the only way that they can get in is if Alabama continues to win out, so Florida and Alabama don't split, or Florida doesn't win the SEC championship game, and they can't afford a split, right, between Clemson and Notre Dame? Clemson can't win the ACC championship game. That would put them in over A&M, I would imagine.
Right. So the worst thing that can happen for A&M and Cincinnati is for Clemson to win and for Florida to win. That's what you don't want, because then you have two teams from both leagues. But at the same time, if Florida wins, then the SEC would have to consider Texas A&M and Alabama. I don't know what they would do. That would be a terrific debate, because A&M would have arguably the best win in the country against the SEC champs in Florida, and the best loss in the country to Alabama. What do you do then? So I think that they need some chaos to happen to be considered. But these all change. We know these all change. I think what this says right now is that they're honoring A&M's head-to-head win against Florida at this point. That doesn't mean that it can't be overtaken. We've seen that happen before. And I think that with the way Florida's playing and assuming they win the rest of their games, which they should be favored to, that can change. They're going to need help, though, because Florida and Alabama are the teams right now. But having so many teams ranked in the top 10, 4 in the top 10, to me, that says, the SEC has a chance at getting 2 in this thing.
Catching up with Heather Dinich of ESPN here on SEC this morning. All right, Heather, so we've talked about some one-loss teams and what their resumes would look like. I want to throw a Big Ten team at you. Northwestern, I thought they got a lot of love, and deservingly so, in this initial ranking. They only have 3 games left. They're not against ranked teams. If they go undefeated and they get to the Big Ten championship game, and it's a very close loss to Ohio State, do they have enough to even make any noise to try to get in the top 4, or they just not play enough games?
I think, well, first of all, it's hard to answer without knowing, is there an undefeated Pac-12 champion sitting out there? Does the ACC split, like we just talked about? If they don't win to Ohio State, I don't think they get in. And I say that because I'm not sure the Big Ten is as good or as deep of a conference as many of us had expected it to be going into this season. I mean, you look at what's gone on with Penn State and Michigan, and now Ohio State sitting there at 4 behind a one-loss team. I think it would be hard for them to get in without beating Ohio State. Now, they run the table. They finish as undefeated Big Ten champs. I think they're in.
Monster news breaking right now on Twitter that Cincinnati and Temple game has been canceled, and it does not appear because of issues with both programs, Heather. So the AAC just announced. So obviously they both have open dates on December the 5th, but the return to play protocols would not allow for enough players to be available to play on that date. That's got to be a monster blow to the Bearcats, who are not only looking for another win, but B, to possibly look at a 12-5 game of scheduling a BYU or scheduling a Pac-12 team or someone else, correct?
That's correct. I'm looking at the email just as you're saying that, going, holy cow. Well, 2 things immediately jump to mind. One, I kind of consider this along the lines of, if Clemson didn't play Florida State, shoulder shrug. If Alabama never played LSU, shoulder shrug, right? We're not talking about Central Florida here or the regular season finale against, Tulsa. Tulsa snuck into the top 25 last night, and I thought that was a big deal for Cincinnati. People are talking and speculating about Cincinnati playing BYU. It would help BYU. It would help Cincinnati, whoever wins. If I'm Cincinnati and Luke Fickell, I don't want to play that game because I'm in a decent spot right now. And if you can run the table and win the American Athletic Conference Championship and get some chaos above, go ahead.
But, Heather, are you now, with the fact that they won't be able to play a game, albeit no matter what it is, and it should have been a beatdown, let's say 35-point beatdown, it's still a what do they call it? Information point, right? It's still an analytical number that you can look at, and it's clear that the committee had taken into account how many games you have played and how good you look doing it. They're not going to get that opportunity, and now it will not allow them to play on December the 5th, which is the other available open date that they kind of needed in order to use it as a trampoline to get forward.
Correct. I am. I'm looking at pulling up Cincinnati's the rest of what they did because I still think. I mean, look. Here's the thing. Even if they played Temple, ESPN's FPI gave them a 96% chance to win that game on the road. Even if they played Temple, they still need chaos above them. And I think that's the most important point to get this in. They can play BYU. They can win at Tulsa. You still have to eliminate the Power 5 conference champions above them, in my mind, to really get in this thing. I mean, they are sitting behind 2 one-loss teams that, in my mind, on paper, they should be ahead of Texas A&M and Florida. So I don't. Yes. I will say that the committee made it very clear that the more games you play, fair or not, the more opportunities and the better chances you have to impress them. I just don't think a win at Temple is a make or break for the Bearcats.
Heather, real quick, I do want to go back to BYU because they're in an interesting position that they are an independent because they can do things that other teams kind of can't because they don't have conference restrictions. Is there anything they can do to not only add to their resume, but really honestly get into the conversation and be a team that maybe even gets close to the top 4 because they still have San Diego State left on their schedule, who's a respectable team, but that's not going to do anything for them. Is there any teams they could technically add to help their resume enough?
I don't think there's a team that they could add to help their resume enough to get them into the top 4. I don't think that. I think that the committee's indictment on their strength of schedule yesterday was pretty strong. Now, if they can go out and add a Coastal Carolina or a Marshall or a Tulsa, great. I think that could help them get in maybe a top 10 finish. Should certainly be in the top 12 if they were able to do that. I just don't see them cracking the code to the top 4 when there's such a gap between them and Cincinnati right now.
Yeah. And it's again, there's no easy way to get by this whole year. I mean, 2020 is just a matter of surviving and advancing. And again, I woke up with the idea. I've always been a 14 playoff. You know, Heather, I want to die on that hill. But I've always felt, and even more so even this morning and seeing the numbers and teams that can and cannot play, that this was a chance for the group of 5 to get involved a little bit more if ever before. And ultimately, why did they decide not to dip their toes into expand it one more round and have 8 teams in this year?
There wasn't enough support for it from the 10 FBS commissioners when Pac-12 Commissioner Larry Scott brought it up a couple of months ago. And at that point, I think it was before the Pac-12 started its season. It must have been in October or late September. You're already into the season. Teams are already playing games. You're already at that point. So it's hard to do it anyway. But if it would have been done for this season, even just as an experiment to expand the playoff to 8 teams, I can almost guarantee you would have had to have unanimous support in that room from the 10 FBS commissioners and Notre Dame athletic director Jack Swarbrick, and it just wasn't there.
I wonder why, Hester. I mean, I mean, you know, who says no to more opportunity this year of all year? Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the answer to that question because I wasn't on the video conference when they went through it. All I know is that when the BCS went from 2 to 4, it took 3 years to make it happen. So, you know, people want to snap their fingers and this thing just expands. And you've got to remember the contracts with the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl and the Orange Bowl. And I am not by any chance saying these aren't impossible obstacles to overcome, but they're really difficult to overcome in a span of a couple of months.
Yeah, and Heather, I agree. Look, we fought a long time to get 4 teams, and we got them, so you don't want to rush to do something new. But also, as a former player and wanting to play for championships, and that's why we show up every single day is to work towards winning a championship. If I'm a group of 5 school, and I've got teams like Cincinnati and BYU and Coastal Carolina, all these teams, and I know I can't get there, I almost ask myself, why am I here? What are we doing here? If we can't play for the top title and we bust our you-know-what every single day like everybody else, then why am I here?
Right. And, I do think that everything college football has gone through this year can fast-track the conversation to expand it. I do. And financially, it makes sense as well. I mean, we know every athletic department across the country, from Alabama to, small programs everywhere, have taken a hit. There's nobody immune to that. And so I certainly think that this can fast-track that conversation. We're in the 7th year of a 12-year playoff agreement, and I think knowing that there was some support in that room to go to 8 teams certainly is a positive sign, at least, to continue those conversations.
All right, that was Heather Dinich of ESPN earlier this morning with me and Peter Burns on SEC this morning. She does a really nice job of breaking down the college football playoff rankings. We'll break down what she said when we come back here on Hangin' with Hester and Hanny, presented by Richard Honda.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
GMFS Mortgage, gmfsmortgage.com. Whatever your biggest bill is every month, there's a pretty good chance, if you're like most Americans, that it is your mortgage or your rent. Wouldn't it be great if it was a little bit lower? Maybe free up a little bit of cash in the short term with a refinance of your mortgage that hurry up, a little bit of extra Christmas cash. But the long-term benefits are what you're really after. The ability to lower that monthly payment, the ability to shorten the length of your mortgage. With interest rates where they are right now, there's never been a better time to contact GMFS Mortgage. Get some questions answered for you, and then you can set out some goals, whether you're buying a home for the first time, whether you're refinancing your current home, whether you are in the market for a construction loan. They can help you out. They've done it for me. They've done it for thousands of other people. So, it's holiday season. Start your journey at gmfsmortgage.com. GMFS, changing lives.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
You may not know about the 4Kids Foundation, but you've probably heard of the Zurich Classic. And the Zurich Classic exists because of 4 kids. But it's what happens after the tournament that really counts. 100% of the proceeds are donated by the 4Kids Foundation to hundreds of local charities, totaling more than $40 million, all to help local children and families in need. 4Kids helps kids through golf, because every child deserves a shot at a brighter future.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This isn't just another day, it's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business.
I'd make it available in dozens. Make that thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. and I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Coming up on Fridays Off the Bench, the boys return fatter and happier than ever. But will LSU fans remain happy through the weekend? We'll preview it, along with Saints Broncos, Hud Palmer, Cole Kubelik, and the D-Generation. Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We are brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Gary Barta is the AD at Iowa. He is the chairman of the College Football Playoff Committee. What a year to get that job, as if it's not hard enough in a regular year. This was Barta on why BYU was ranked so low.
Well, the committee is very impressed with BYU. Zach Wilson is definitely a Heisman candidate, playing at a high level. They've beaten 3 or 4 teams above 500. But as you look at their schedule, and that's certainly where the committee went and looked at their best win is against Boise State. Boise was shorthanded in that game. So the committee is very impressed with BYU, but certainly schedule compared to the teams around them came into play.
Doesn't it always come back to schedule? I mean, this is nothing new. You can say it's a different deal every year, but most of the years it does come down to schedule for most teams. Now, I think you can make a case that it didn't come down to schedule with Ohio State. You know, there's not a whole lot there. There's half as many games as Cincinnati.
Yeah.
There's
one top 10 win.
Yeah, there's one less game than Northwestern. Heather Dennis did a good job of talking about you know, there's the Indiana game and then there's 3, you know, just kind of bottom of the barrel type games. I mean, no Penn State was going to be that bad, but they are. This was Barta on why they put Clemson over Ohio State.
Well, the discussion, you know, starting with Clemson, they've really dominated every team that they've played against, other than, of course, the number 2 team in Notre Dame, and they were short. They didn't have Trevor Lawrence. They didn't have some of their best defenders, but they've got a solid win against a Miami, 10th-ranked Miami team. And at the end of the day, the committee just decided that Clemson deserved that number 3 slot.
I can put some other teams over Ohio State too, at least right now. If you're doing this based on what they have done and not what you think they will do, that's when the committee drives me nuts. They get into the prediction business. No, this is what they've actually done. And what Ohio State has actually done is beat Indiana, and that's really it. I can deal with Clemson being over them. I can deal with Florida or Texas A&M being over them too if they had done that. Ohio State gets to the end of the season and they've beaten a couple more teams. By the way, with this cancellation, Wisconsin's now ineligible for the Big Ten championship game, which means that Northwestern's only got to win one more game to clinch.
Yeah.
So they're going to play Northwestern. Yeah. Ohio State Northwestern looks like the Big Ten championship game, barring some really serious turn of events. So let them do that. Let them do that first.
So if you're going off, you know, the resume and the schedule, the Ohio State schedule, when you line it up against the Northwestern schedule, I'd argue that Northwestern has a better resume right now than Ohio State because
they do.
They've beaten Wisconsin, okay, yes, and you've beaten Indiana. There's both of your top 10 wins. Mm-hmm. Iowa's in these rankings. Now they're at the bottom. They're 24. I mean, they're close to the bottom, but Northwestern beat Iowa. Okay, and so your Penn State win is garbage. Your Nebraska won, same thing. Rutgers, Maryland, all those wins, they don't add up to a win over Iowa, and they've got one more victory than you do. So if we're truly going off resume and schedule, Northwestern deserves to be over where Ohio State is. But that's not what we do. The brands get placed where the brands should be, and that's what we have another case of. So I'm okay if you do it. If you came out and said, look, we got 2 teams, yeah, Northwestern's a little bit better, but come on, guys, it's Ohio State. I'd actually be okay with that. I'd be like, okay, at least you're not lying to me.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter all that much with Ohio State and Northwestern because they're going to play each other. We'll easily be able to see. the A&M Florida debate was interesting. I thought Conor O'Gara yesterday made a very compelling case for why Florida should be in front of Texas A&M, even though A&M had won the head-to-head game.
And the Gator, Chris Doering, made a case for the Aggies to be ahead of
how crazy was that? But this was Gary Barta, the head of the committee, on why the Aggies got the nod there.
They're both terrific teams. Florida is playing at a high level. Kyle Trask is playing a Heisman level as well. But when it came down to it, they were close enough. The only loss that Texas A&M has is to number 1 ranked Alabama. And as a committee, we just decided that they deserve to be a nod ahead.
I can live with that. I heard the argument both ways yesterday. I can go in either direction on that. I think that, again, it doesn't matter all that much. Florida is going to play Alabama for the SEC title, and if they win, they'll be in, and if they lose, they're going to be out. So whether they are – now, A&M's ranking overall may matter, but where the Gators are concerned, I'm not sure it matters all that much right now.
If Florida takes care of business and they win the rest of their games, they're a shoo-in to get into the college football playoffs. So, no, you're not worried about it. That's not something that you're going to really use as motivation, because your players aren't dumb. Your players know, hey, if we go out there and we take care of the teams in front of us, the teams still on our schedule, and we beat number 1 Alabama, hell, we might be number 1 by the end of this deal. So just take care of your business.
Coach O, when we come back as LSU prepares themselves for the Texas A&M Aggies, we're brought to you by Richard's Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
Tiger Air, an independent dealer of the American Standard heating and air conditioning system. If you like saving money, you'll love the American Standard, because as soon as I put one in my home, I saw a dip in my energy bills. It's the most efficient unit on the market, and the programmable thermostat means you'll never waste energy. It's easy for you to make adjustments right from your smartphone. So given that combination, every time you get that energy bill, you know it's going to be a little bit less.
We always talk about saving money in the summertime, and we talk about your air conditioner if it did go out. Don't forget about the winter months. We know it can get cold here in South Louisiana, and that season is coming very, very soon. So save money when you turn your heater on as well. Make sure that your system is efficient. Make sure it's at its peak performance. You get that with the Comfort Assurance Protection Plan with that seasonal maintenance. Of course, I just mentioned increased equipment life, lower utility bills, emergency and priority service at a discounted rate. Tiger Air will save you money. Visit tiger-air.com.
We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank & Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank & Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for a Hump Day edition of AFR presented by Pluckers. We'll preview the weekend ahead in the SEC with Russ Mitchell. It's a Whiskey Wednesday. Taylor Calandro join us. 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We're brought to you in part by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. Sure, somewhere in your Thanksgiving menu tomorrow, there's going to be rice, rice dressing, rice and gravy, rice and something. Make it Supreme Rice. Very easy to pick up at all your Walmarts, all your Costco's, all your AG food dealers, whether it's the brown, the long grain, or the jasmine, and they all come in the 5-pound bags as well. So spice up your holiday with a little bit of Supreme Rice. You know, we've been using Supreme Rice over at our house for a long time. Never disappoints. Perfect complement to any meal. So if you're preparing for Thanksgiving, you got to get some last-minute items, and you're going to be cooking some rice, make it Supreme Rice. For great recipes and more information, go to SupremeRice.com. Coach O, this morning on Kellen Mond.
Consistency, accuracy, in charge of the game, making plays with his feet, 16 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, very smart with the football.
This is very much the 2020 version of Kellen Mond. Let me play that first part for you again.
Consistency, accuracy, in charge of the game.
Those were not things that we said about Kellen Mond in previous years. Sometimes, but not all the time. Not the consistency part in particular, Jacob. But this year, he looks like a senior quarterback. And the comparison I make with him is to Jason Campbell. Jason Campbell was a starter from his freshman year at Auburn. I think he had 4 different offensive coordinators in the 4 years he was there. And when they got to his senior year, he had really become comfortable. He had improved his accuracy, had improved his decision making, and that's what I see with Kellen Mond. He's not making the big mistakes that he made in the past. He's more accurate with the football. He had made plays with his feet before, but he looks like a senior quarterback. He looks like the quarterback they'd been telling us he was for the last 2 years when he really wasn't. This year, I think he is.
So when you look at his stats and you look at what he's done, honestly, it's not going to come across as, oh, man, this guy's tearing it up. He's not Mac Jones. He's not Kyle Trask. He doesn't have these gaudy numbers. But he's doing what they're asking him to do, and he hasn't always been able to do that. In fact, he struggled to do that at times, and he's a veteran quarterback, like you mentioned, as veteran as you'll find, a guy that's played since he stepped on campus, but he would make mistakes of a guy that had really, started a handful of games. Well, I think Jimbo Fisher has finally found exactly what he can thrive in, and that was a criticism of Jimbo, like, hey, you've had this guy for a really long time. What's going on here? And they kind of found, okay, here's what we have to do to set up Kellen Mond. And he's only averaging 8 yards an attempt. You've got other SEC quarterbacks in the upper echelon. They're 11, Kyle Trask. You got 12.5 for Mac Jones. So he's not pushing the ball down the field, but he's completing 64% of his passes. That's all they want him to do. And he's only thrown 2 interceptions. He's only taken 2 sacks on the year. That's maybe the most important number of any of them because he's getting the ball out of his hands quickly. He struggled with that throughout his career. He would double clutch. He would pump fake himself. He would pump and then bring the ball back down and then get sacked. And so He's making better decisions, and it's all because, in my opinion, of the talent you have up front now and what that offensive line is doing. They're actually giving him some opportunities to take care of the football, not having to really run around and get on the move like he has in years past as well. And we talked about it. The run game has improved. And Jimbo Fisher needs a running game for his offense to thrive.
Do you think the Jimbo Fisher element of this heaped too many expectations on Kellen Mond? Forget about Jamarcus Russell and Jameis Winston. Those guys were precocious talents. They were the number one pick in the draft. But Jimbo had worked his magic with guys like E.J. Manuel and Christian Ponder, who were good talents. He made them great talents. He made them first-round picks that people expected him to do the same thing with Kellen Mond and to do it in a very, very quick manner.
I think the expectations were fair considering where Kellen Mond came in. He came in a highly touted quarterback, and it was really in a time when A&M was putting up a lot of yards and a lot of points. So you see that, and you think, man, this guy who's done it with Christian Ponder, and he's done it with all the names you just threw out there, he's going to take this guy? This guy's going to be a star from day one. And so when you start talking about expectations, when it comes to recruiting and where you are and where you went and what the guys before did, sometimes they can be unfair, but everything kind of lined up for him to really thrive from the get-go. And then I think it's more of, okay, you're a freshman. Okay, he's a sophomore. It's like, wait a minute, you're a junior. Wait a minute, you're about to be a senior. Like, where's the improvement? Where's the growth? And it just took him a long time, not only for him to get there and be comfortable, but for Jimbo not to try to do what he just can't do. There's things that Kellen Mond can't do. He's a good quarterback, but there is limitations there. And I think they've all finally figured out exactly what those limitations are and what they can win doing with this offense.
A couple of updates on LSU personnel. First, Coach O updated the Miles Brennan situation.
I talked to Jack yesterday, and he said he's about 60%, and he's getting a little bit better, and they're not ready to operate on him yet, so we'll see. But he's definitely not playing this week.
60%. They've got 4 weeks left of the season, 4 games left, really 3 weeks left of the season. I don't know that I don't know if he's going to make it back or not. They seem to be adverse to having that surgery if they don't have to. That if this thing heals up, that even if it takes the rest of the season, even if he doesn't play anymore, they don't seem overly enthusiastic about having that surgery, that they'd rather it heal on its own. Because if the surgery was inevitable, I don't think they're trying to rush him back for, the Ole Miss game or the Florida game or whatever. It's just we'd rather this thing heals on its own if it's possible, even if it takes a little bit longer. Am I reading too much into this?
If you can avoid surgery, you absolutely do it. Yeah. I think almost everybody in here has probably had some type of surgery. I know you and I have both had surgeries, and it's not fun. Sometimes you don't come back right, even if you rehab the right way.
Yeah.
I've got a torn labrum right now. I did it in, 2009 or 2010. We played in Tennessee on Christmas Day. A guy missed a block on a power run, and the guy hit me. It sounded like a 12-gauge shotgun went off, and my labrum tore. The ball went up in the air, and I was just frozen in the ground. I couldn't move my arms.
Is that why you can't throw strikes?
I know it's with my non-throwing hand, so that doesn't help.
All right.
It's not an excuse. But we were going into the postseason. It was, like I said, it was Christmas Day. So I sat out week 17. We had a bye week into the playoffs so I could get ready for a playoff game. Now, they asked me, do you want to have surgery and fix this, or do you want to play with it and continue to hurt? I said, oh, God, continue to hurt. That's fine. We'll do that. And so after that game, all right, surgery time. I'm like, what happens if I don't? Like, well, they'll probably be okay as long as you don't do anything. We'll rehab and we'll do all this stuff to strengthen it. But, you might not have flexibility in it. I said, I don't care. That's fine. Because I said, and they're like, oh, well, you had to sit out this amount of time, and every time you hit, it might be a little different. I said, no, scrap that. I don't care.
Now that you're a civilian, does it hurt? That you're not taking hits on it every day is what I mean.
I've had a couple of different procedures, a stem cell procedure that helps. Yeah, but that's it. That's all. That's as far as that son of a gun's going to go back. So, yeah, it limitates me now. But you know what? Having surgery and sitting out, possibly missing OTAs or minicamp for me in my position, even though I was a starter, I was fullback.
I just meant now. Would you want to go back and get it fixed now?
I wouldn't do it now. I'll do the same thing I did.
No, right now. Is this something that you're eventually going to have surgery on, or you can live with this the rest of your life?
Good.
Okay.
Again, I don't want to go under the knife.
All right. Well,
I ain't trying to rehab.
If you're not hurting, then I guess you're fine.
I got too many flag football games to coach.
Finally, left tackle competition. Now they've got Dare Rosenthal back.
It's still the same. I think Cam is going to start. Dara's had a good practice, but we're still going to start Cam. Dara hasn't beaten him out yet.
What do you think of, we just saw a little bit of Rosenthal alternating series against Arkansas.
I don't like rotating at a position on the offensive line. If you're rotating running backs, okay, receivers, there's positions.
Defensive linemen.
Defensive linemen. I'm not even a fan of linebackers or DBs rotating. Yeah. There's certain positions I like it. Offensive line's not one of them. If I'm a quarterback, I want to know who my left tackle is. I want to know who has my blind side. I don't want it a revolving door.
That's fair. Billy Embody, when we come back, it's a Billy Hour. We got Billy Embody, Billy Lucci in the 1 o'clock hour today. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business.
I'd make it available in dozens. Make that
Simple to do. All you got to do is give them your address, and then they'll send somebody to mark the location of all the buried lines on your property. That way, you or your contractor can avoid them. So whether it's landscaping, fencing, another building, or a pool, you call 811 2 days before you dig.
We always give you the law, Louisiana Underground Utilities and Facilities Damage Prevention Law. So yes, this is real. This is something that you have to do. So they make it easy for you. Because you have to do it, they're going to make sure it is hassle-free. Call 811. Go to Louisiana811.com for more information.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business.
I'd make it available in dozens. Make that thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Do you know someone who sets a good example for all of us to follow? Someone who shows leadership, selflessness, and service to their community without being asked? We think that's the definition of a good citizen. And so does Citizens Bank and Trust. If you know someone who exhibits all of these qualifications, nominate them for a Good Citizen Award, and they could receive $500 from Citizens Bank. And we'll recognize them here on the show. Get the details at citizensbankandtrust.com, and then nominate your good citizen.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front-to-Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one but two NMEA-certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front-to-Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech. Make your boating dreams come true. Front-to-Back Boat Services.
You may not know about the 4Kids Foundation, but you've probably heard of the Zurich Classic. And the Zurich Classic exists because of 4Kids. But it's what happens after the tournament that really counts. 100% of the proceeds are donated by the 4Kids Foundation to hundreds of local charities, totaling more than $40 million, all to help local children and families in need. 4Kids helps kids through golf, because every child deserves a shot at a brighter future.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All Star Toyota today.
I've been doing business with Luber for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly...
Callahan Injury Lawyers. Now, Hangin with Hester and Hanny with Jacob Hester and Charles Hanagriff. Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger. Alongside Jacob Hester, here's Charles Hanagriff.
Our number 2, Hanging with Hester and Hanny. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. If you're listening with us up on 1130 The Tiger. And if you're watching on CST or on YouTube, we certainly appreciate you listening with us today. Again, a very, very difficult day for us here at Guarantee. If you missed it, we did a segment to open the show today on the passing of our friend Ruffin Rodrigue. We have decided for the moment that it is too soon to ask his friends and those that knew him best to come on and share. This is only several hours old now, this news. We're going to give everybody an opportunity to kind of collect themselves, and we will be doing more on Ruffin's passing later on. And I don't know exactly what that time frame is. Again, we got all this morning. If you'd like to go back and watch the segment from the beginning of the show that we did, that segment will be posted on YouTube and also on 104.5 ESPN. Again, it's a very, very difficult day for us. And if you're just joining us now and you missed the beginning of the show, quite frankly, I'm not capable of doing it again. So anyway, we're going to move on here for the moment. And Billy Embody, Go247, is with us. We're going to talk recruiting with him. Billy, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, guys. Sorry to hear about Ruffin, and my thoughts and prayers are with his family and all you guys. I mean, just obviously he's a great guy. Was a great guy, and he's going to be missed. Thank
you, Billy. All right, let's get to the recruiting news. As we head down the stretch here, it's hard to believe, but the early signing period is just a couple of weeks away, just a few weeks away. So where does LSU stand right now as we hit the home stretch?
Yeah, this is crunch time for Ed Ogeron and his staff. There's a lot of big recruits out there that are planning to sign in the early period. One of them, namely Mason Smith, 5-star defensive tackle from Louisiana, is probably the biggest name that we're expecting to sign early, at least in terms of him making his decision. And then from there, they have about probably 3 to 5 spots in all likelihood that are open. It'll be probably a recruiting class crunch time. They'll get together as a staff and really kind of see if there's any players that maybe need to move on potentially. We always kind of see that type of attrition, whether it be natural or whether it be a mutual parting of ways or what have you. But those will be some conversations that they have had and are going to continue to have down the stretch, just based on senior films and things like that. You could see some guys, at least this year, maybe not even sign early just until their senior years get underway if they are going to play in the spring. But, for the most part, this class at least feels pretty locked in. Over the last couple of weeks, we reached out to a lot of the recruits in the class to kind of gauge whether they're going to sign early, whether they're enrolling early and doing all of those things. And for the most part, everyone's planning to sign early, at least out of the commitment. So that's a good thing for LSU. You always want to get your class fairly locked up early on, and that's something they're going to have the chance to do, it seems like. And when you look at the guys they've finished with as of late, Sage Ryan, Derek Davis Jr., Jack Besh, and Matthew Langlaw, and those guys, those are ones you expect to sign and to join that class. For a lot of the longtime commits, it's the same story. There will be some guys that they're going to have to fight off late pushes from other schools. You look at Deion Smith, one of the top receivers in the country. I saw JoJo Earl on Friday night, and he said other coaches are hitting him up, but he's locked in, he told me, and he's enrolling early. So there's a lot of moving pieces down the stretch here, but for the most part, it's all eyes on, I would say, Mason Smith. And then as the spring gets closer, we move past the early signing period, you look at some of those bigger targets like Corey Foreman and Tristan Lay and guys like that, they want to round out the class with.
Tristan Lee, to me, seems like the guy that you almost have to have because of where you sit right now, Billy, on the offensive line. I know that at one point it seemed like he was an LSU lean, and recently I've seen some chatter come out that maybe Oklahoma has gained some steam on LSU, and they're in the conversation now as well.
Yeah, I think with Tristan and Ohio State is a dark horse. I mean, they're recruiting at a pretty insane clip. I think one thing with Ohio State is the depth chart. He's always been fairly cognizant of that. That's one thing he's always mentioned at LSU is that there's playing time right away for him. I think, you graduate Austin Deculus potentially if he wants to move on or not, that's another discussion, I guess. But the early playing time is there on that offensive line, and probably more so than anywhere else, quite frankly, in the Power Fives and in the country. LSU, has had some offensive line issues. They need Tristan Lee. He is. They have Garrett Dellinger committed as a lone offensive lineman right now, but when you talk about a program-changing offensive lineman, it's Tristan Lee. I mean, he's really blown up over the last year and a half. He's got that frame that you want. He's got the athleticism. He's trim, I would say, for the most part, and he would be an instant impact guy for that offensive line and somebody they have to have.
Billy embodies, I guess. Billy, whether they get Tristan Lee or not, isn't this going to have to be an off-season where they're going to go shopping in the transfer portal for offensive linemen?
I would think so. It's going to be difficult to kind of do that depending on where their spots end up. If they're at 22 right now, if we see some attrition and, like I said, maybe 3 to 5 spots left in this class, that's a position that you've got to feel like they're going to address, and they've tried to. Eric Wilson, the Harvard transfer who, for as touted as Liam Shanahan was, Eric Wilson was an All-American, 4-team All-American in the preseason before Ivy League shut things down. So he's going to Auburn. He was one they were looking at. There are others out there that they're going to have to go after and try to address with. And I think this year more than ever, you're going to see a lot of movement in the transfer portal because I think this season for a lot of players is just an eye-opener in terms of maybe what they want, what they didn't get in the recruiting process in terms of promises or how things have panned out. And it's been a weird year just in general. So I think there's going to be options for them out there, and I would have to think that they're going to explore every avenue to address the offensive line again with the transfer portal.
All right, so Billy, if you do get grad transfers in, do you think LSU leaves some available spots in this signing class to be able to do so?
Yeah, I would think so. Probably 1 to 2. I don't think it's going to be an over-the-top deal. I mean, unless the way it would work, I guess, if you get Mason Smith right now, as the class stands, it's 23. Then, could you get Corey Foreman and Tristan Lee, or that puts you at 25. So if you've signed some of these guys and they do have a spot available based on them not filling out the last class to get to 26, that's kind of where that one spot would come from. And then do you see the attrition that you leave spots open for that to happen? That can be on the board as well.
Billy, basketball starts tomorrow for LSU. Starts today for a lot of other teams. In fact, we're watching Ohio State right now. But how do you feel about the team, about the early schedule? They had to pull out of the event in Lincoln. They're going to play a couple of games in St. Louis, including the game against St. Louis. That'll be on Saturday. How do you feel as they get ready to start?
Yeah, I mean, I think like any person around this program, you've got to feel good. I mean, it's a team that has super high expectations. Top 4 preseason pick to be right there again for a conference title. They're going to have to really come together. I think more so than even last year's team to overcome Kentucky and Tennessee. The usual suspects to win the league. But they have depth. They have different pieces. I think once Charles Manning is back fully healthy, that's going to be a big boost. The good thing for LSU is they're going to get a chance to see what they have relatively quickly with some of their other wing players, and at that spot for Charles Manning, And then with the new matchup zone that they're going to, how does that work? Brian Penn Johnson and Josh Gray and the other bigs, how do they fit in with that scheme and change how the way LSU is played defensively? If LSU comes together defensively, this team's going to be pretty tough to stop from winning the SEC. That was really what held them back, I felt like, last year. And Will Wade addressed it, decided to make a change with his scheme. And he's got the players to do it. He's got the talent to do it. Cam Thomas is going to be somebody that probably ends up on the All-SEC team along with Javonte Smart and Trendon Watford. I think the X factor for the most part for this team is Darius Days. Does he take that next step that everybody's been waiting on him to take, to be a really, really solid SEC player and a potential dark horse to land on an all-SEC team? If he does that, the sky truly is the limit for this team. They've got all the pieces in the world to make a run in the NCAA tournament.
Billy, what do you think this rotation will look like as far as amount of players that are going to play significant minutes? Because I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the roster. I'm like, man, I can make a case for 10, 11 guys to get minutes. What do you think that rotation will settle into?
Well, the good thing is I get one cop-out answer, and that Josh LeBlanc isn't going to be in it for a minute. So I think 10 to 11 is probably the safe number. And sometimes when you get into the meat of the SEC slate, you even see that go down, and it becomes more of an 8 to 9 man rotation, as tough as that is to believe with the depth that they have. But when you look at some of the players like Jalen Cook and Eric Gaines, for example, do they live up to those preseason expectations that Will Wade has and has talked them up? And, do they become, instant rotational players, or do they take a little bit longer to actually settle in to SEC play especially? And do they kind of fall back into more of a spot duty situation? Milwaukee Wilkinson, does he have the strength to hold up over the course of the SEC schedule? He's certainly got the size. But with Darius Days, with Trendon Watford, with Charles Manning, Josh LeBlanc, and Andre Hyatt, how does he fit in when you get into SEC play? So I think 9 to 10, 9 to 11 is probably that sweet spot when they do get it all finalized.
Billy, we appreciate your time. Enjoy the Thanksgiving holiday, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Billy and Body from
Billy.
Go247. We'll take a break here. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
GoTro's Outdoor Power at both locations and our friends over at Skag, making it easier than ever for you to get into one of the zero-turn units. The top's on the market. Your Skags are now available with 60 months interest-free financing and free delivery. With the largest parts inventory anywhere in the state, GoTro's is never going to have to delay to give you service after the sale. So whether you're looking for a residential unit or a commercial unit, stop by either the Gonzales or the Baton Rouge location of GoTro's Outdoor Power.
We'd encourage you to go see those showrooms that Hanny just mentioned, because you're going to find something that you fall in love with and you want to take home. But if you're listening to us in North Louisiana on 11:30 a.m., or if you're watching us across the state of Louisiana on CST, remember, free delivery to you from GoTro's. Go to GoTro'sOutdoorPower.com. You select Skag in the new equipment. It's going to pull up everything that they have from Skag, which is a lot. GoTro'sOutdoorPower.com. GoTro's, we make it easy.
Saints coverage, Chiefs, Cowboys, Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday Night Football. From the opening kickoff to the playoffs and the Super Bowl, the NFL lives on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hello?
What's up, E? What you doing?
Chilling at the office working. You?
Hanging at the job site. Chilling.
Roof's up?
Hey, Greg, roof up? Roof's up. Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up! Roof's up! Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business.
I'd make it available in dozens, if not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
Get an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Join us for a Wednesday edition of Jimmy Ott's Game Time, live from Rouge Creole. Lots of action on deck for Thanksgiving Day in college and pro football. We break it all down beginning at 6 p.m. Come see us on Perkins Row or tune in here to 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
We are presented by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Ohio State could throw the first shutout in college basketball history. It's been like 7 minutes and Illinois State still hasn't scored. It's 22-0. It's 22-0. This is not a football score. They're like a hockey team. They're not even getting shots on goal. Anyway, basketball has started today. This story came out yesterday. We didn't have time to get to it. It came out in the middle of the show. The Hall of Fame finalists semifinalists, have been put. The list is out. It's headlined by Peyton Manning, who I'm fairly certain is going to get in.
Peyton Manning.
Yes, his first.
Oh, yeah.
The other Louisiana ties, Reggie Wayne is once again a semifinalist. Alan Faneca is a semifinalist for the 6th time. And some of the other first-time members of this, or first-time eligibles, include Calvin Johnson, who was pretty good.
Oh, my
Charles
God,
Woodson, who was pretty good.
Yep,
and Jared Allen, who was pretty good. So you and I got to go back and forth about some guys and whether or not they'd be in the
I'm
Hall
right,
of
you're
Fame.
wrong. Yeah, we get it all the time.
You can only put in 5. Only put in 5. We agree that Manning's getting in, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's one of those ones. For those of you that, thank you, Kate. Those of you that don't know how the Hall of Fame process works, you have somebody get up and make a presentation for you, and then the voters, debate back and forth on it. And you can take as long as you want. There's no time limit on how long your presentation is. But for some of the locks, usually the guy just stands up and says Jerry Rice, and everybody votes yes, and you move on, or Emmitt Smith, and everybody votes yes, and you move on. That'll be Peyton Manning. Whoever's in charge of presenting Peyton Manning will stand up. He'll say Peyton Manning. They'll vote. I think it's 44 voters. They'll vote, and that'll be that. The rest of them, I can't imagine that Calvin Johnson is not going to get on the first ballot, or Charles Woodson is not going to get in on the first ballot. But we've seen that happen before. So I'm just going to go through some of the other names, and you tell me kind of an up or down whether they
they get in ever or just
would
initially?
you vote? No, I want to know, would you vote
Would
for
I
him?
vote for him?
Not,
Do I get an unlimited amount of votes here?
No, you can't. See, that's what makes it hard.
Only get 5?
Yes, you get 5. This is an exclusive thing here. Okay.
So it's starting to get tough for me when we have this conversation because God, I guess I'm getting older. All these guys I either played with or played against, and got
all of
great
these
memories.
guys were really good football players. I mean, they started with 125 on the list. They're down to 25. So if you made it this far, you're really good. All right. Here's a guy played for the Saints for a few years. Eric Allen, cornerback.
Yeah, Eagles too.
His best years were with the Eagles.
If I'm only getting 5 votes, no.
No. Jared Allen. We talked about,
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
This is 5-time Pro Bowler, 4-time first team All-Pro, led the NFL in sacks 2 different times, was on the greatest teams, all-century teams for the Chiefs and the Vikings, and he was a son of a you-know-what to block.
Okay. Willie Anderson, tackle for the Bengals and the Ravens.
No.
I didn't think of him, though. Rondé Barber, been a semifinalist 4 times now.
Barely no.
Yeah.
Barely no.
Cornelius Bennett.
Oh, gosh, he was a stud.
I'm a little bit – this is the first time he is a semifinalist. He's been retired for 16 years.
Yeah.
Bennett was a mainstay on that Bills defense that went to 4 Super Bowls. But you get 5. You've already used up 1. I'm going in alphabetical order here.
Yeah, I'm going no. I don't
All right.
hate this.
Tony Baselli.
No, didn't play long enough, didn't stay healthy enough. Hell of a football player. If he would have stayed healthy, yes, but I don't think
he's got a lot of support. This is the 6th time he's a semifinalist. If he goes in before Faneca, I'm going to be a little aggravated because I think Faneca was a better player. Leroy Butler with the Green Bay Packers.
Good player. Came downhill, would hit you right in the mouth. I believe. Where did he play college?
Florida State.
Okay.
Yeah. 4th time as a semifinalist. Alan Faneca. This is the 6th time that Faneca has been a semifinalist.
This is not a homer. This is because he was a mauler. When we'd play against them, our guys would always come to me, dude, your LSU guy's just mean, nasty, and tough. Like, can you tell him to settle down, please?
Yeah.
He was dominant at a position that's hard to be dominant at.
Rodney Harrison. This is a hard one for me because I think he was he was really, really close. He's also his first time on the ballot, by the way, as a semifinalist. And he's been retired for 13 years. You want to come back to?
Close, but no. Very, very close.
Torrey Holt.
God, Hanny.
Yeah, see, this is not easy. So when you pin me down on guys like Darren Sproles, and I tell you, man, look, I love the guy as a player, but he ain't getting in the Hall of Fame. This is what I'm talking about. This is the competition list.
But yeah, we'll disagree there because Darren has a special place. He's a niche player for sure, but he was the best at that. No, but not now, but yes, eventually.
You put Torrey Holt's numbers up against most of the Hall of Fame receivers. I mean, not against Rice or
they are up there.
Yes, they are.
He's a great human being too. That makes it hard. He will get in eventually, but maybe not this time.
Calvin Johnson.
Yes.
All right.
And his numbers actually don't stack up with some of the people that are going to be left off here. But he only played for a short period of time, and let me tell you.
Well, Torrey Holt's numbers are better than Calvin Johnson's.
They are. Yes, but when I tell you he was dominant. And for me, Hall of Famer means you couldn't stop him. You knew what was coming. Their check down in Detroit was throw it deep. I swear to God. So most teams, your check down is your running back or your tight end right there over the ball in the flats. When things broke down in Detroit, and I know this, Matthew Stafford would just do this with his offhand, and wherever Calvin Johnson was, he would go deep, and that was your check down. They caught 2 touchdowns on us in Detroit just doing that.
So you got Calvin Johnson in.
Yeah, I got Calvin, Jared Allen, and Faneca.
Okay.
And I've got Peyton and Manning. So that's 4.
Yeah,
I got 1 vote left. This isn't going good for your boy.
John Lynch.
All right.
He has been a semifinalist 9 times.
Okay, so to tell you how much of a legend he was, we called like safety will, the blitz, safety will coming off the edge, Lynch blitz. Because he made it famous.
He perfected it.
He was the best at it. The wheel would come, and then here comes John Lynch screaming like a bat out of hell, you better be ready. So
this is going to get worse for you, by the way.
I know it is.
Okay. You're going to leave Lynch off. Clay Matthews.
Oh, my God.
I know you. Clay Matthews.
I've already messed up, Hanny.
No, well, I'm going to let you go back, okay? I'm going to let you go back. Clay Matthews.
No.
I mean, Clay Matthews, senior. Okay, not junior.
It said junior in the graphic, but I knew you meant senior
Right.
because Matthews is still trying to play.
Sam Mills.
God, that T-bar face mask would come downhill.
Mills led the planet in in tackles like, a dozen times. I think of Sam Mills as a Hall of Fame player. And it's not just because he played for the Saints. He was every bit as good when he played for the Panthers, even at the end of his career. I would want to vote for Sam Mills.
Me too.
Personally. Let me come back to that. Richard Seymour. I thought Seymour was a great player.
No, because he's a turd.
Okay, but I wouldn't have voted for him.
He talked more trash than anybody ever played against, and it made you so pissed because you couldn't do anything about it.
Well, that's a good reason not to vote for him. Come on. Here's another guy I'd like to vote for, Steve Tasker.
I would like to. I'm a fourth down player. I'm a special teamer. I'd love to vote for him. But see, you can't vote for him and not vote for Darren Sproles. What they did, they were the best.
No, there were other third down backs that were really good. The Terry Metcalfs of the world, there were other third down backs that were really good. I think Tasker was.
We're talking about returner too.
I know. I think Tasker was unique. Fred Taylor.
Soon, but not now. No.
And see, for me, he's in the Hall of Very Good. He was a lead running back for probably a dozen seasons, and he was always over. He kind of compiled them, but I never thought of Fred Taylor as one of the best 2 or 3 backs in the league. I always thought of him as a top 10 back, but I never thought of him. If you're talking about dominant, I never thought Fred Taylor was the best running back in football. Okay,
that's a fair point.
Hines Ward. This is going to get way worse.
No,
for you.
Hines Ward is a hell of a football player. He is in that conversation. He might eventually get in, but not with my only 5 votes that I need to go back and retract already.
Reggie Wayne. You can't vote for Reggie Wayne if you're not voting for Torrey Holt.
You're right. I know. I can't. No.
Here's the one that's going to upset you the most. Patrick Willis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this is the second time he's a semifinalist, and I think of Willis.
7-time Pro Bowler, five-time first team All Pro, second team 1 year on the All Decade team. Played on some really bad teams in San Francisco. I know he had a couple nice years there at the end, but 07, 08, 09, awful teams. But I tell you what, 52. You better find out where he's at or he'll embarrass you like he did my man Justin Benson on the goal line. Sorry, JV.
Charles Woodson. Oh, you're out of spots. See how hard this is?
Okay, it's a really good class.
It's like this every year, man.
No, this is special.
You do have
maybe because I'm too personally tied to some of these names. Because, like I said, the guy, my very first block in the NFL was Zach Thomas, and he's on this list.
Yeah,
I respect the hell out of Zach Thomas.
Did I say?
You didn't even say his name. We didn't even get to that far.
Zach Thomas. Okay.
I don't know. Good God.
No, he's not.
All right.
And then it's Darren Woodson and Bryant Young are the last 2 names on the list.
I think the people that no brainers get in. It's not even a question of Charles Woodson and Peyton Manning. I think those 2 are going to get in. There's no conversation to be had, and outside of that, there's
you got 6 guys on this list. You got Jared Allen, Alan Faneca, Calvin Johnson, Peyton Manning, Patrick Willis, and Charles Woodson. I hate to be the one to tell you, but if that's the list, and I like this list a lot, and they got to pare one down, it's going to be Faneca again.
I know.
I got a bad feeling.
I know.
And I think he's going to get in eventually, and I really thought he would be in by now. Thought he'd get in before Hutchinson did. Hutchinson was great, but he didn't, and I think he will eventually get in. But Allen, Johnson, Manning, Willis, Woodson looks like that's a pretty solid. It's a pretty solid list.
It is. You're leaving out guys that were the best at their position.
They're fantastic players.
For a long time in the NFL off this list.
A lot of these guys have been on this list for a long time. Hines Ward's been on this list 5 times. Who did I tell you has been on the list 9 times?
Sam Mills has been on there.
Sam
a while.
Mills has been on the list 4 times. 9 times. John Lynch 9 times. 9 times.
What would you do with John Lynch?
I can't vote for him in this class. I can't vote for him over these other guys. I think of him as a Hall of Fame player, but I can't vote for him. I can't vote for him over these other guys. We'll take a break. When we come back, Billy Lucci from TexAgs.com will be with us. We'll talk about the A&M and LSU. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
All right, we're brought to you by Richard Honda every single day, the title sponsor of our show here. You can find them online at richardhonda.com. The buy from home option right there on the homepage, a 7-step process to get your vehicle delivered to your doorstep. That's right, it is going to get delivered right to you, or you can pick it up and go check them out at the dealership. 7-step process, select your vehicle, unlock the lowest price and payments, fill out a little bit of information. They're going to send you a virtual garage key code. Once you get into that virtual garage, you can compare and add features. You can have up to 4 vehicles that you compare with. And then, last step, they deliver it to you. Or, like I said, they can make sure you stop by the dealership and you pick it up over at 13413 Millerville Greens Boulevard in Baton Rouge. Over 700 new and pre-owned vehicles. And no matter what you're looking for, no matter what your lifestyle asks for, they've got you covered. Cars, trucks, midsize, full-size SUVs, hybrids, vans. They got you covered from every angle over at Richard's Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
I mean, you guys are out on the front lines fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Ochsner Health.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one but 2 NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech. Make your boating dreams come true. Front to Back Boat Services.
You may not know about the 4Kids Foundation, but you've probably heard of the Zurich Classic. And the Zurich Classic exists because of 4Kids. But it's what happens after the tournament that really counts. 100% of the proceeds are donated by the 4Kids Foundation to hundreds of local charities, totaling more than $40 million, all to help local children and families in need. 4Kids helps kids through golf, because every child deserves a shot at a brighter future.
Coming up on Fridays Off the Bench, the boys return fatter and happier than ever. But will LSU fans remain happy through the weekend? We'll preview it, along with Saints Broncos, Hud Palmer, Cole Kublik, and the D-Generation Day. Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
Turns out Illinois State's not going to get shut out after all. They finally found the basket. They need 3 maps and a tour guide. We're watching college basketball here today. the day before Thanksgiving. Billy Lucci from TexAgs.com joins us right now as LSU gets prepared to take on the Aggies on Saturday. Billy, good afternoon. How are you?
Doing great. How you guys doing?
All right. Tell me what the layoff, in your opinion, has done for or to this Texas A&M squad.
I don't think there's any way to tell. They've had, I think they've been really pleased with the way they've practiced this week and even last week with a lot of guys out. But, I mean, you say a lot, and if it's a dozen, you still have a lot of guys out there practicing. So, I mean, you could still conduct actual practices. But they had a lot of key guys that are going to be playing Saturday that missed a lot of practice time. But I think, you'll see when they come out and start playing. I mean, I wouldn't surprise me to see them have to shake a little bit of rust off, but it's LSU. It's a conference game, and to me, there is some level of, had they played with no COVID outbreak, no contact tracing, right? Had they played Tennessee the week after South Carolina, clearly Isaiah Spiller was banged up. He left that South Carolina game, didn't come back. They had a starting offensive lineman that left and didn't return. They would have been without two safeties due to not contact tracing, but they actually had COVID and a couple other injuries. So to me, you take a 2-week break, and it's let's get ready to go. 4 games, 4 weeks, if you're fortunate enough to get them all in, and that's the stretch to the finish. And we're sitting here needing to move up 1 spot to get in the playoffs. So you have a fresh, rested team. If they're able to shake off the rust or survive LSU while shaking off the rust, which I think would be a lot more difficult, but if they do it, man, they might be one of those well-rested teams down the stretch while others haven't had that opportunity.
So, Billy, we've seen Florida with a 21-day layoff. They improved on some of the things that were giving them trouble on defense. Same thing really for LSU. LSU didn't play a perfect defensive game against Arkansas, but they did improve on some of the things that were giving them trouble. So A&M is actually playing really well after they had this layoff. But what's the one thing that you hope they worked on and got fixed during this 21-day layoff?
Good question. They had it rolling pretty well offensively at that point, so you really want to just keep that going. Defensively, though, they were still struggling in terms of the downfield passing game. The secondary had improved, but I thought still had significant strides to make. I'll be interested to see how Jalen Jones, the true freshman corner, who's really good. They were playing well at the cornerback position. Safety was kind of an issue. You're getting Damani Richardson back. He missed South Carolina because of COVID. He was a guy that was banged up ever since Alabama. So, again, you talk about one of their best defensive players. Has he been able to, get back into form by taking some time off and let his knee get right? So the safety position had been a little bit of an issue, and obviously LSU, for all their issues they've had this year, one thing they could do is attack the field. And even with the freshman Finley, I've been impressed with him when he throws the ball down the field and pushes it that way. So between Marshall and Gilbert, and before that, McMath was certainly a concern, but the athletes LSU's got at receiver, that's still a matchup the Tigers are going to try to exploit.
Billy Lucci's our guest from TexAgs.com. Billy, what was the reaction to the first college football playoff rankings last night?
I think there was probably a collective sigh of relief out of College Station, just from the standpoint of where the BYUs and Cincinnati's of the world wound up. And look, Florida A&M really doesn't matter, right? If Florida beats Bama, they're jumping A&M, and they should. If they lose to Bama, then A&M's staying there. The Aggies need to move up 1 spot. There's a bunch of different things that could happen for them to move up that 1 spot. But I think it was good. Just the message that I got from it was that the committee really respects A&M's resume to date. And that, to me, is as important as anything, because what you don't need is somebody to jump you if you keep winning. And I know that LSU's record isn't great. I know Tennessee's record's not. But if the Aggies were to close things out, and this is the hard part, obviously, but if they went out versus LSU, Tennessee, Ole Miss in that offense, and Auburn on the road, I do think that the way they're viewed by the committee and nationally will only improve. I mean, those are three really big-name programs, one of the best offenses right now in college football, and in an Auburn team that's currently ranked. So if you add that to what they've already done, they'll be right there with a chance to be in it. So that's all you can ask for. I was worried, though. I was worried from the standpoint of Cincinnati or BYU being within striking distance and an uproar of everyone be pushing them ahead. Some people have pointed out that Northwestern's in position to jump A&M, but my response to that is no, they're not. They're in a position to just flip-flop with Ohio State. If they beat Ohio State's out, Northwestern's in.
Billy, you just laid out the teams that A&M has left on their schedule. We've been trying to figure out how LSU could get the Alabama game in. A lot of rumors. You move it to the 5th. You move Ole Miss to the 19th. Ole Miss is still an opponent that Texas A&M has to play. Have you heard anything lately about what A&M could do to try to get all of their games in? Because obviously they want to get as many wins and that resume looking, really as strong as it possibly can heading into the college football playoff.
No doubt. Now, I've put forth a couple of scenarios where I've done the whole SEC schedule. It's a lot simpler than you think. And I'm a lot more bored than actually everybody knows how bored I get. But I did it, and I'm like, I came up with a couple, even after Tennessee and all that, Arkansas and all that stuff popped the other day. I went back 30 minutes after I posted it and redid it and took like 5 minutes. So there's several scenarios where you could do that, but I do think obviously LSU is going to have to play Ole Miss on the 19th if they get them all in, right? Because it has to go Bama, Florida, and that affects A&M too. So I think for the Aggies, next week they have to play Auburn or Ole Miss. The Auburn date's already set, so that would be the easiest. But their next two will have to be Auburn and Ole Miss, and they'll have to close with Tennessee. I think it's as simple as that, and I think the flip-flop would be, do they play Ole Miss on the 5th or on the 12th?
Billy, we appreciate your time. Have a nice Thanksgiving. Enjoy the football weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Shoot, guys, I want to interview y'all about LSU. I got so many questions. I've been watching them every week, and at times I watch them, and they look really good, especially, I think the matchup to really watch Saturday. By the way, it's going to rain, and it might lightning, and it's going to suck. But the thing I'd be watching the most closely is going to be that LSU D-line versus the A&M O-line. I think that's a tipping point matchup of whether that game's going to be a close game or whether the Aggies, can kind of take control and pull away as the game goes on. Is how well can A&M line up and run the football, because they've had that in their hip pocket and they've had that to lean on pretty much every game this year. And I do think LSU is one of the few teams that's equipped to give them issues in that department.
Billy, that is a great question. That is something that I meant to ask you, was the improvement of the A&M offensive line. And it's really been a strength for this team. And what's crazy is, as well as Spiller's run the ball, as well as Smith has run the football, I'm more terrified of Smith in the passing game than I am him running the football, because LSU's had so much trouble covering backs out of the backfield. He's Texas A&M's leading receiver, and every time he runs a wheel route or a rail or motions out, I'm going to be holding my breath.
Well, yeah, and I'll tell you, as good as Anias is, they've got another one in number 6. If you watch that South Carolina or Arkansas game, Devon Achane, who LSU was going to, they were very close to getting him for track, and then, he would have been track first, football second. But he's kind of hit a stride and come into his own, and I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him factor in prominently into the game on Saturday night.
Did you say lightning?
You mean how fast Achane is? Or
no, I mean the actual lightning, because the last time these teams played in College Station, they played almost until Sunday. I would prefer to get this game, finished on Saturday night sometime, and lightning means delays. So how much lightning?
I know.
You're serious, right?
Yeah, it's not looking great. Of course, we're 4 days out. So, if that thing can push up it's a weather system moving through, so I don't know what the chances are maybe at pushing up a couple hours and getting out of there in time, because I know Sunday here looks really beautiful, which tells me it's going to push out at some point. So hopefully, either by the start of the game or shortly thereafter.
We do a pretty
Remember
late.
that LSU A&M game, Johnny's sophomore season, where it was like the downpour of all downpours for about an hour right before that game, and then the game started and it didn't rain a drop.
I do remember that. We do a pretty late post game around here, so if it's all the same to you, if we could play the game on time, that'd be my preference.
I agree. Trust me.
Billy, have a nice Thanksgiving. Thanks, you.
Billy.
Y'all too. Happy Thanksgiving. Good catching up.
We're brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny. Off the Bench, Hangin' with Hester and Hanny, after further review and more, are all live daily on the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube channel. Subscribe now to interact with us inside the live chat driven by Bayou Ford.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as a bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, if not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. and I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
To learn more.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for a Hump Day edition of AFR presented by Pluckers. We'll preview the weekend ahead in the SEC with Russ Mitchell. It's a Whiskey Wednesday. Taylor Calandro join us. 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
And we're brought to you in part by Louisiana Health and Injury Centers, helping you deal with pain from auto accidents, sports injuries, or just general aging aches and pains, whether it's herniated disc, muscle or ligament strains, neck or back discomfort. It can ease your suffering through a series of therapeutic exercises and stretches maintained just for you, or techniques like dry needling, electric nerve stimulation, ultrasound, or cryotherapy. 4 locations of Louisiana Health and Injury Centers: 13406 Airline Highway, 2832 Plank Road, 467 Oak Plaza Boulevard in Brule, and on Jefferson Highway near Drusilla, with easy access from both I-10 and I-12. Dr. Michael Goff, Louisiana Health and Injury Centers. Nick Saban has tested positive, showing COVID-19 symptoms, and will not coach in the Iron Bowl this Saturday against Auburn. Saban, this is different from the last time, which ended up being a false positive. Saban's got a runny nose, though he has not lost taste or smell, and he is not, according to him, showing fatigue, but he will not coach in the Iron Bowl. He has got a quarantine for 10 days, and that puts him back the day before what would be Arkansas's regularly scheduled game, or Alabama's regularly scheduled game at Arkansas, except it might be LSU on December the 5th if some of the scheduling rumors that we've heard come to fruition on Sunday or Monday. So that would put him back one day before that game if everything goes right. Steve Sarkisian will coach the Tide against Auburn. They are a 24-point favorite, I believe, big favorites to win that game. So it was a bigger deal for the Georgia game when we thought Georgia actually had a chance to beat them. I know it's the Iron Bowl and anything can happen. We've seen some really bizarre Iron Bowls over the years, but I don't think Auburn has any chance to win in this game.
No, they're just not set up to come from behind if they get down 14 quickly. We've seen that offense. It's not a bad offense, but that's just not the way that they're built. Tank Bigsby's still questionable for that game. He is their offense. He is the key to their success. So I don't think it affects them. I think that you have a Steve Sarkisian in place who has been there, done that as far as how to handle being a head coach. He's done it at 2 major programs. And, Coach Saban still can coach during the week. As we saw last time, he can coach through Zoom and different things. He's just not going to be able to coach during the game, but the game plan is going to be in place. I don't think it affects anything they do on the field. Now, 24 points in an Iron Bowl, it's a lot of points for 2 teams that always have a crazy game. I mean, last year that was a nuts, just crazy finish the way, and it always is. I mean, that's what rival games are supposed to be. So we talk point spread, maybe it's a different conversation, but no, winning the game, I can't even find a way to make myself sort of believe it.
Doesn't feel like rivalry week, does it?
No, not at all.
Then again, it doesn't feel
like Egg Bowl, Iron Bowl, any game with a name, Apple Cup, none of that, which isn't being played, by the way.
It doesn't. And I was, we saw that the Pittsburgh and Baltimore game, the NFL game,
and that's as close to a rivalry
that is
in the
rivalry.
NFL as you'll find.
They were supposed to play on Thursday night. There was a COVID issue with that, so they moved that game to Sunday, which means that on Thanksgiving night, when we become accustomed to watching football, we watch the Lions at lunch. We watch the Cowboys while we nap, and then we watch the night game, whatever it is. And I really liked when the Egg Bowl was there. When the Egg Bowl was on Thanksgiving night, that was solid entertainment. With the Steelers and Ravens being moved to Sunday, you know what we get on Thursday night, on Thanksgiving night?
Oh, you've told me, but tell our audience.
New Mexico and Utah State. That's the only game going at night.
And he's not joking.
They are tell me how many games they have won combined.
I'll let you tell the audience, because the only reason I know is because you told me, and it's depressing.
It's what we say. We like the Egg Bowl. They have won the egg amount of games, 0 between them. Both of them 0-4. I think I'm probably going to be able to skip that one. Maybe it'll be time for some for the turkey sandwich at 6 o'clock and maybe a movie. Yeah. I don't think I need to watch.
Is there any hoops on? Maybe.
Yeah, and I see we got to get. That's when we got to get to college basketball. We just move right over. Got some games going as we speak. We're watching Ohio State and Illinois State.
You got Virginia and Towson.
Yeah, Illinois is a ranked team that is blowing out an outmanned team today. Michigan plays at 3 o'clock. Houston, who is ranked in the top 20, plays here in about 5 minutes. So we'll find something to watch, but I don't think it's going to be New Mexico and Utah State. Dr. Stephen Etheridge will be with us in the next hour. We are brought to you by Richard's Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge. Innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
The winner is the dog with antioxidant vitamin C.
Given the choice, why wouldn't you choose the one with antioxidant vitamin C? Choose Vizzy Hard Seltzer.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
To all of our heroes working on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, your bravery and selflessness represent the very best of us, and we want to say thank you. I'm asking everyone around the state to join me in celebrating the heroism of our healthcare professionals on the 19th of every month at 1900 hours, that's 7 p.m. Write a note of appreciation, make plans to donate to charitable organizations, or say a prayer. To learn more, visit 19thanks.org. Thank you, and God bless.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers. Offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as a bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front-to-Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not one but two NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front-to-Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech. Make your boating dreams come true. Front-to-Back Boat Services.
You may not know about the 4Kids Foundation, but you've probably heard of the Zurich Classic. And the Zurich Classic exists because of 4 kids. But it's what happens after the tournament that really counts. 100% of the proceeds are donated by the 4 Kids Foundation to hundreds of local charities, totaling more than $40 million, all to help local children and families in need. 4 Kids helps kids through golf, because every child deserves a shot at a brighter future.
Toyotathon is happening now at Corval Toyota in Opelousas.
Get into a 20 Camry for $297 a month.
So come on down to Happy Town for Toyotathon. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas.
Happy Town, USA.
Callahan Injury Lawyers.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Here's what's happening. Tomorrow night's Steelers-Ravens game has been moved to Sunday by the NFL because of Baltimore's COVID-19 outbreak. The 7 Ravens players who tested positive the last 3 days not available to play on Sunday. Panthers expect quarterback Teddy Bridgewater to play Sunday against the Vikings. Running back Christian McCaffrey likely out. Alabama coach Nick Saban's tested positive for COVID-19. He has very mild symptoms, so it is not categorized as a false positive test. With Saban isolating for 10 days, offensive coordinator Steve Sarkisian will coach Saturday against Auburn, and the Crimson Tide should not miss a beat in the Iron Bowl, believes ESPN college football insider Heather Dinich.
Obviously, you always want to have your head coach on the sideline, especially when it is Nick Saban, who's the best coach in the country. But at the same time, Alabama on the field is at least a touchdown best, at least, than any other team in the country right now.
Heather Dinich on Greeny with Mike Greenberg. Diego Maradona, one of the greatest soccer players the game has ever produced, has died at the age of 60 after suffering a heart attack in his home.
Look, we all accidentally damage our phones. It happens. Now, Straight Talk Wireless's new Platinum Unlimited plan includes phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, data, and more. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Asurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
Now, Hangin with Hester and Hanny with Jacob Hester and Charles Hanagriff. Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger. Alongside Jacob Hester, here's Charles Hanagriff.
Hour number 3, Hanging with Hester and Hanny. By Richard's Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. You're listening with us up in Shreveport on 1130 The Tiger. If you're watching along with us on YouTube or on CST, welcome you in. Cade Wazzy on the audio board, Paul O'Neill on the video board. Dr. Stephen Etheridge with us here in about 12 minutes or so. In the meantime, we'll play a little bit of SEC True or False as we do every week. You ready for this?
Yep.
Okay. True or false? Kentucky beats Florida this weekend. And, wait a minute. That's the hypothetical I'm setting up. They beat Florida this weekend. It salvages, makes their season. They play South Carolina the last week. So if you pull this massive upset and you're better than a 3-touchdown underdog here, it makes your season. I'm asking you because you went in with extremely high hopes for Kentucky this season, and they've fallen short of that. But if they beat Florida, a top 5 team, top 6 team, I guess, right now, then it salvages their season.
I don't think so, because when you talk to people around that program, they don't want to be that team anymore. They don't want to be that team that –
no moral victory.
Yeah, they don't want to be that team that they win the one-off game and that's all they do all season. No, they had real expectations to not only be a team that was respectable but competitive in some of these games. Like, you go back 2 years ago, they beat Florida. First time in a very, very long time. Last year, they controlled that game, and then Kyle Trask came in and changed the dynamic of that game. Florida comes back and beats Kentucky. They felt like they were on the verge of being in that category of being a big boy, and they haven't been. Their offensive line, when you look across it, it's really good. They've got really good running backs. Disappointing has been the defense and the quarterback play.
You know, of all the plays this season, if I could reverse one play – and just to see what would happen, I would reverse the Indiana Penn State final play of the game. But if I could get a second one, it would be that extra point with Kentucky and Ole Miss. Now, it wouldn't have worked out as well for Ben Mintz. But if he makes that and Kentucky somehow wins that game in overtime, and then they're 3-1 going into Mizzou, and I don't feel like they lose that game. And then you're looking at a season that has a close loss to Georgia, and a kind of a fumbled loss to Auburn, and then, well, Alabama's just better than you. And you're a lot closer to what if I could go back and change one play, that's the one that I would change.
It would be up there towards the top, outside of the offensive pass interference call for Purdue, Minnesota.
I understand why you would want to change that one back.
That one would be changed, but I do agree with you. A bounce here, a bounce there. The season looks different because you're always going to lose to Alabama and probably Georgia, but some of the other games that the trickle effect, you would have won the Ole Miss game, and you probably go into Mizzou with a different attitude because you're playing for something different.
True or false, this Vanderbilt-Missouri game will feature the first female football player ever in a Power 5 game.
There's a real opportunity. There is a real opportunity because Sarah Fuller, who is on the Vanderbilt soccer team that just won the SEC tournament, has actually been out there. She has practiced for Derek Mason. They're having some issues at the kicker position. And listening to Derek Mason, she's got a strong leg. We'll see what that yields. Sarah's an option for us. She seems to be a pretty good option, in fact, so we'll figure out what that looks like on Saturday.
Be interesting to see.
Oh, sign me up for that. I'm all for that.
Let's see, because if she does end up kicking in the game, it will mean that she has shown them enough in practice to have deserved it.
Right.
It's
this is not a gimmicky.
You're right. It's not a publicity stunt.
They don't allow fans into the stadium at Vanderbilt, so even though this game's on the road, it's not like they're doing it for the next home crowd.
Right. Right. True or false, Steve Sarkisian will use this as a springboard to another head coaching job if he coaches for multiple games here. And he's only scheduled for one, but it could be two.
I don't think he needs the springboard. I think he's already on the short list for a lot of those jobs, but it can't hurt. If he goes out there and we assume everything goes off without a hitch, just say, yeah, look, it was a difficult situation I picked up, and we were able to continue what we were doing before Nick got COVID, and we're ready to go. So, yeah, he can use it. I think when you look at the South Carolina job, I think he's in on that. I think South Carolina would be smart to interview Steve Sarkisian. There's some real rumblings about Tennessee right now. Now, they'd owe Jeremy Pruitt $20 million. They're still paying Butch Jones. But Jeremy Pruitt's record at this point is exactly what Butch Jones's was at the same point in his career. Some unhappy people at Tennessee right now. I don't know if you want to be paying two coaches not to coach your team, but that could become an option as well.
Very Auburn-esque of them if they did that. But the program has never lost 5 games in a row by double figures, and that's the midst of the losing streak there right now. I have mixed feelings on Sarkisian. I thought that when he was at Washington, he was a star on the rise, and I thought that I thought he might be a star. And then when he went to SC, I know what went.
Some personal demons.
He did. He appears to have cleaned up that part of his life. I just don't know. The short time in the NFL didn't work, and
neither did Nick's.
That's just fair. That's fair. I'm not sure how much credit I want to give him for piloting an Alabama offense that seems like it's on cruise control. There's a lot of guys that could have done that. I mean, maybe that's not fair. It's probably not. But I feel like there's 50 offensive coordinators that could go. Now, there might not be 50 people that want to work for Nick, but there would be 50 people that could take that talent and put up buku numbers. So I don't, like I said, I have kind of mixed thoughts about him.
Major Applewhite still on staff as an analyst? I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. Saban wasn't his favorite person in the whole world. I know.
Came back to the old rehab center of coaches that need a little bit of a boost.
They pay well there. True or false, Mike Leach is going to have to purchase a flight to, I think is it Boca or is it somewhere in the Caribbean for Lane Kiffin?
So if Mike Leach and Mississippi State, if they win the game, then Lane Kiffin has to pay for the private jet that takes Mike Leach to the Keys and then, of course, takes him to Boca, and vice versa. Lane Kiffin wins. They take, Leach takes him to Boca and then goes down to Key West. So,
were they going together?
They're going together. Yeah, that's part of the bet.
Oh, this is reality TV, right?
They're going on a private jet together. I am going to say that Lane gets dropped off first and he wins the bet.
I think so too. Even with States showing signs of a pulse last week against Georgia, I think it's Ole Miss's game. We always know something goofy, like the Iron Bowl. We just sort of expect something goofy to happen in the Egg Bowl, but I do think Ole Miss wins that. But we got to send a videographer with them. I mean, we have to. The conversation between those two on the plane, and by God, get them some drinks, please.
I don't think you have to worry about.
Please,
we have to worry about
please
that.
Get them.
It would be like an episode of Survivor.
Yeah,
drop them off, a couple of supplies.
Right.
Can they take a crop duster and drop low enough for the loser to have to parachute out of the plane?
Ooh, that's interesting.
That's a little intrigue to it.
Mm-hmm. True or false? JT Daniels will throw for over 400 yards again. They play South Carolina.
South Carolina missing both of their top corners to prove a point. Yeah, I'll throw for 400 yards again. Jermaine Burton was uncoverable in this game.
Yeah, what point are you proving exactly there? Because he threw for 400 yards last week and said, hey, listen, I've been ready to play for a while.
Monken. I know Todd.
Mm-hmm.
Todd's like, okay, you thought my offense was just, no, it's who I had at the helm. Watch this. Here comes 400 right up your you-know-what.
I'm curious to see what that defense does because that was a really surprising outcome last week. Not that Georgia won the game, that Mississippi State scored 24 points.
Yeah.
They hadn't scored 24 points in the last month, I think, or something like that. So I was very surprised that they were able to move the football at all.
Well, they haven't scored yet. I mean, since the LSU game, they haven't scored. I mean, it's been an offense that has been. They scored a defensive safety against Kentucky, but that seems like about all that they were able to get. In fact, I was looking it up yesterday. In Alabama's top 2 scoring games, they scored 126 points 63 times, 63 points 2 different times this season. And when you look at that, Mississippi State has scored 122 points total in 7 games this year.
And they scored 44 of those against LSU.
Vanderbilt, 116. Missouri, 130. Tennessee, 141. So in Alabama's top scoring games, 2 of them, they've got more points than 2 teams in the SEC and almost as much as teams like Missouri and Tennessee. And you're right, 40-something of those were against LSU.
We'll take a break. Dr. Stephen Etheredge will be with us when we return. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
All right, we are brought to you by Garcia Roofing, number 19 on the LSU 100 fastest growing Tiger businesses. The second year in a row they are on that list. Best of Ascension when it comes to roofing companies. No surprise here. They've been doing it since 1992 in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Covington, and the entire North Shore. We tell you, there's no gimmicks with Garcia Roofing. You're going to get a professional service with a Garcia guarantee. You don't have to worry about them flaking on you. They do the best work in our area, and I am a testimonial that, look, free roof inspection is going to save you thousands as well, Hanny.
What do you ask them to do? You ask them to be on time. Done. You ask them to be on budget. Done. You ask them for high-quality work every single time. So start your next project with Garcia. You can contact them in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, and on the North Shore. Roof now and pay later. Call 756-3100 online. It's GarciaDidMyRoof.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, if not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Join us for a Wednesday edition of Jimmy Ott's Game Time, live from Rouge Creole. Lots of action on deck for Thanksgiving Day in college and pro football. We break it all down beginning at 6 p.m. Come see us on Perkins Row or tune in here to 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
And brought to you by Richard Sonda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Dr. Stephen Etheridge is with us. What's up, Doc?
How we doing? Doing good.
Yeah, the Aggies been out of the football business for a couple of weeks. So what is it changing in your protocols as you head to College Station, knowing that they've, and I don't even know that both of the weeks had anything to do with them as much as their opponents, so maybe educate me a little bit there.
You know, I don't think it does change our plans. I think we all just kind of roll with this each week to week. You know, knowing where a school's been, what they're at, it's obviously beneficial, but I think we do the same thing. We take the same precautions. You know, we still feel pretty good about on the field as far as what we're doing, and that's really the only time we see them. So I think for us, it's, you know, business as usual.
I guess whenever you've had problems like Texas A&M's had problems, you know, we've had spikes. Everybody's had spikes. Do you kind of keep up with that as far as, okay, let's chart it. They've had this amount. They've had this amount. This team actually hasn't had one yet, but we got to kind of pay attention because maybe it's going to come sooner or later.
I think we definitely do. You know, I think we'd mentioned it earlier when I talked to the doc over at Florida early in the year, and their cases have been low at that point. So we were a little worried that they were probably going to get popped at some point. So I think there's two things that I really look at. One is there a real high risk for a lot of the virus to be there? Mm-hmm. If you have a low caseload up to this point, then yeah, that's a risk. Like for example, in Florida's scenario. But then you have the other situation, like what we dealt with, that we've kind of referenced, is that now that we're testing out this 90-day window, you know, it opens that gate for any of these close contacts. So you're really seeing games stop for two reasons. It's either the close contacts maybe don't have a lot of sickness, but you've got a lot of guys in quarantine, so they still can't play, or it's the legitimate sickness. And, you know, from our standpoint, you know, we're going to, like I said, prepare the same way either way, but it is something we've been kind of watching just more for curiosity and academic reasons. Does your life get a little bit easier now that the campus is they open today and today's the last day that in-person teaching for the semester? So I think they went home last week, actually.
Okay, I think they did go home.
Yeah. Okay, so they're already gone.
So yeah, so it makes it's a little easier to relax. You know, I think for what I have to do, fortunately, not a big difference. But again, we're talking now that we have a lot of guys that are out of that window. So if they have a close contact, it could be a classmate, it could be someone they went to dinner with. the more of those we send home, the less of them they're going to be to contact them. So that's a good thing.
All right, crazy situation. Florida State Clemson last week. I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Clemson gets to Florida State. They get to Tallahassee, $300,000 travel tag, and that game gets canceled 2-3 hours before kick, and a lot of he said going back and forth between Dabo Swinney and Mike Norvell.
Yeah, that's the scenario that it was a nightmare situation. We talked about, what happens if that exact thing happens, and especially if you don't feel real good about your contact tracing, who they've been around. And I think that's what happened there. I know the medical staff, obviously, at Florida State, still a lot of the same people when I was there. The guys, the head doc there was one of my mentors. So I know the kind of people they are, and some of the bickering I think is frustrating because, look, we're doing what we can medically. I'll stand up for what they did there. They did what they thought was right. Obviously Clemson was a big favorite, but I don't think they're ducking the game.
Right.
We have to act that way. And you have a Florida State program that hadn't had a positive case in over a month. So they're clearly concerned about the medical well-being. You don't know. You hear this one thing. I could see it going either way. I can understand Clemson's side, too. They, like you said, a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of preparation down the drain.
But the player in question was on Clemson's side, and he traveled with the team, and Dabo said, well, he quarantined when he traveled, but it was on their side. And if it was on Florida State's side and then you cancel the game, I think it's a different conversation.
I think so. And here's the reality, too. I mean, the guy was, from what I heard, and again, here comes the he said stuff, but my understanding, he was practicing with the team when he was symptomatic. It probably what happened was had a false negative test because he is getting tested just like we are, but he had symptoms. Then the test became positive. Well, he'd been around. You could say he quarantined once they got to Tallahassee, but he was on a plane. He was practicing probably pregame meals or weekly meals and whatever meetings. So, if especially the program that's still not had a lot of cases like Florida State, they're a little more susceptible, and that's when that earlier conversation comes in. Their level of guys, at least to my knowledge, is probably less than some of the other programs. Like Clemson had a bunch of positives, so they're going to handle it different. They're not as worried about their guys getting it because they've had it.
Well, knowing what you know, would you have cleared the guy to travel?
If he had a negative test, I don't know how we keep him home, because there's so much other stuff. I don't know the whole details, but if we had a guy that was negative when we left, maybe symptomatic, but had been tested since then, because there's still all kinds of other, COVID is not the only virus out there. So no, to be fair, yeah, we probably would have. And then we get there and have that scenario. And, that's one of those, these things we drew up at the beginning of the year, these different scenarios that were like, gosh, I hope this doesn't happen, but it's going to eventually. This was clearly on that list.
So is there a meeting before the game on game day? Because that's what it sounded like, was they got together on Saturday morning and couldn't come to an agreement. I mean, are you going to meet with your cohorts at A&M on Saturday?
Normally, we only meet right before the game, like at the facility, and that goes back to before COVID. That's to make sure that we got all the medical stuff in place. What happens if you have a player go down? Where's the ambulance going to be parked? Where's the people, the airway assistants, X-ray, all that stuff. Yes, we do reach out, especially if something comes up, though. We had an episode last year where there was a mumps outbreak with Arkansas. They got here into town. Their trainer called us that night to address the situation.
Remember that, yeah.
And look, that's so, and especially in this COVID era, yeah, for sure, we have a lot of these things happening where we're maybe not setting up a routine meeting, but hey, by the way, this happened. And then if it's something we need to address, then yeah, we would get together under that circumstance.
All right, so let's talk about 11 broken ribs. Because last time we were talking about broken ribs, and we were talking about, maybe 3, potentially 2 on one side, 1 on the other. That seems like the highest number that I can remember a football player having from an injury. What can you expect trying to come back from that? Is it, 3's the same as 11 or 1's the same as 11, or is this a real issue?
I think it's a real issue. I'm not saying he's not going to be able to make it back, to be very clear. A tough guy. And look, rib injuries, like we've talked about, usually you can make it back, sometimes even the next week if you don't have the complications. But yeah, I'm with you. Only time I can recall seeing anything double digits or even approaching that is car accidents, big accidents, major crush injuries, things like that. From a football game, I've maybe seen 3, maybe even 4, in a really extreme case. So this is a big deal. And I do think, I don't envy the guy who's going to make that call because it is tough. You want to put his safety first. He's already had this collapsed lung. You got to consider that. But then at the same time, this is an injury normally that we see people even sometimes, like I said, stay in the game or go back the following week. So it's going to be a tough spot for them to figure it all out.
Where do you typically see a collapsed lung? Like, is it car accidents? What is it where you typically would see that injury?
So the common, at least traumatic varieties, there's what's called a spontaneous pneumothorax, which is a whole other thing. But if you're talking about the ones we see from trauma, probably, the most common is going to be a big car accident, something like that, or a gunshot or a stab wound. Usually it's either a puncture into the chest cavity or a really, really heavy trauma. There are some weird outliers. Broken ribs is always a known risk factor. Fortunately, like we were saying, very rare in sports. I've not, knock on wood, seen one. But it's more these big traumas or puncture injuries.
Yeah, I got mine from, I think it was Greg Hardy putting his face mask into my rib. That didn't make the list.
I didn't keep finding more broken ribs. When you do the x-rays, don't you x-ray them all?
You do. I will
I'm
say
just
this.
curious. I mean, they keep adding to the list,
No, it's funny. That's one of those things. I'll see patients in my clinic a lot that maybe went to the ER and they'll say, they x-rayed my chest, nothing was broken. And then we'll get it and I'll be like, oh yeah, you got 2 or 3 right here. And it's not because I'm better than the guy that read it there. It's ribs, really fractures in general, but especially rib fractures, really easy to see after a couple weeks. Really hard to see, especially the ribs, because you have all this other stuff. You have the lungs, you have the heart. And so sometimes it's not easy to see it right out of the gate. You'll see this little line going across pretty much every rib in the chest, but that could be a blood vessel. It could be some of the brachial, some of the bronchi underneath in the lungs, all these other things. So it is. I will be, give the benefit to everybody that misses those. It's not easy early on.
I'm sitting here thinking like 11 broken ribs, and
sounds like a big deal to me.
So, yeah, and so what and having a collapsed lung, breathing issues have to. I don't know how they're not popping up, because like I said, I had one, and it was like when you take a breath, it didn't bring you to your knees, but you definitely knew something wasn't right.
It's breathing is painful with any chest injury. Anybody that's ever had, even just a bad rib contusion, it is painful and hard to breathe. I've got to believe, he's going to have to feel better. He's going to. I mean, there are 2 things. He's got to be healed enough to where safety of further injury is not a concern, and then he has to be able to function. And those are going to be 2 separate things to look at. They might say, hey, we're comfortable with where you are now. These are healing well. But if you can't take a deep breath, how are you going to play in a football game? So those are both real concerns. And, sometimes you have one rib, like we've talked about with the Tyrod Taylor injury, but you will sometimes numb the rib. Yeah. But when you got 11, you can't get me to do that.
Knock on wood, we've made it this long into the season without talking about tightrope procedure. Remember last year? That was like the topic of most of our conversations.
4 games left, don't you?
Yeah, but now you probably just missed the whole rest of the season. You wouldn't have the tightrope procedure.
I think at this point,
I'm talking about just any level of football. Last year, remember, that was kind of, another Tua had it, so that was on the forefront. But it seemed like that was a procedure that led most of our conversation last year.
Yeah, it's one that's still done, but there hasn't been as much, or if there have been, we've been so busy as a total talking about COVID
issues
and all this other craziness.
I'll take the tightrope procedures back.
Yeah.
Trade you for COVID.
Same.
How do you feel?
Feeling great.
You feel great?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
got a little pep in his step.
Enjoy your Thanksgiving, and have a safe trip to Texas A&M.
Thank you.
We'll take a break. Hanging with Hester and Hanny. We're brought to you by Richard's Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
All right, we're brought to you by the Tiger Athletic Foundation. LSU fans spell go differently. That's because it means something different. Go means being all in no matter the challenge. It means rooting louder, standing together, and fighting like Tigers. Today, we see unforeseen adversity. The loss of essential revenue for LSU athletics will be in the tens of millions of dollars. We've started to tell you some of those numbers over the last couple of weeks, but our go never stops. Your support is critical. Donate today to the Victory Fund and help keep LSU Tigers going. This is so critical for the Tiger Athletic Foundation and the LSU Athletic Department. For the first time in the history of TAF, offering additional priority points for donations to this tax-deductible Victory Fund. You can find more information online at victory.lsutaf.org. The Victory Fund will provide financial support to the most critical areas of need, including scholarships, healthcare, and academic support for student athletes. Again, one last time, victory.lsutaf.org.
We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens. Make that thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Our local nonprofits help build a thriving community for all, and now it's time for us to give back. So join us for 225 Gives on Giving Tuesday, December 1st to build community and unite action. Learn more at 225gives.org.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is a local bank with a straightforward philosophy.
It's about doing the right thing for our customers.
Participating in our community with annual local fundraisers, offering individual attention in a modern banking atmosphere with a trusted local company. Gulf Coast Bank invested in technology with a local touch, giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime.
We're building relationships through personal service as the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Hey, T-Bob, sports wouldn't be the same without the die-hard fans, so we're highlighting the fans that do it the most.
Every week, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge brings you the Citizens Bank Fan of the Week. Check it out, 1045ESPN.com. Coming up on Fridays Off the Bench, the boys return fatter and happier than ever. But will LSU fans remain happy through the weekend? We'll preview it, along with Saints Broncos, Hud Palmer, Cole Kublik, and the D-Generation. Off the Bench, 1045 ESPN.
Hangin with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
They're brought to you by Richards Honda, home of the warm and fuzzy feeling. If you got an opportunity to watch the game on Saturday, watch any of the games tomorrow, maybe a little after dinner drink with a cold Coors Light with the Thanksgiving Day games. You get the Lions, you get the Cowboys. You do not get the Steelers and the Ravens. They had to move that game to Sunday. Lots of college hoops tomorrow, including LSU opening their season. You'll be able to hear that game on Eagle 98.1. But get you a cold Coors Light or a Blue Moon Light Sky with the citrus taste, citrus aroma. The tangerine peels are right into the brewing process for a nice citrusy feel. And, of course, we're probably going to overindulge a little bit tomorrow on the food, so have a cold Coors Light when you're finished with your meal.
This week has been, it's been a longer week. We have a longer show on Mondays. I've had double duty radio shows every day this week between our show and Sirius XM. Tomorrow, you know who's off? Your boy.
Yeah.
You know who's going to
Both
relax
of us,
on the couch with a couple of cold Coors Lights? Your boy.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to it. Cannot wait for it. Looking forward to tomorrow. Time with family. Time to give thanks. Time to drink a couple cold Coors Lights. Watch football.
LSU and Texas A&M. This was Jabril Cox who had one of the bigger plays for LSU against Arkansas and his approach to getting ready for the Aggies.
Yeah, the mindset for this game is to go 1-0 this week. We know every SEC game is going to be tough. You see the past 5 games that we played, 5 to 6 games that we played, it's been a battle. So we know these next 4, it's going to be a battle between Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Bama, and Florida. So we're just going to go in each week, trying to go 1-0 Yeah, this is a huge confidence boost. A lot of guys went down, and it was the next man up mentality. The guys that came in and filled those holes, they did a pretty good job. And this just gives us another opportunity to keep getting better as a whole. Going into this week, no one expects us to win. We're the underdogs, so going in there and trying to ruin their day is something that we're going to try to do.
I love it how coaches will always tell you, I don't pay attention to the point spreads, or I don't listen to any of that stuff. That stuff matters. And yet every player, when they're an underdog, says, well, we're the underdog this week. Yeah. Somehow that information seeps through. But the next man up mentality, you can say that. It's an old football axiom. But when you actually see it happen, when a guy like Jay Ward comes in and takes his lumps early, but comes back and makes some big plays at the end of the game, you can draw some confidence from that.
You can, and it really seems like if you follow Twitter, a lot of players tweeted 1-0 after they won this game. So a complete refocus. Hey, we've had multiple weeks off. Let's see if we can do the old cliche 1-0. And it's something that Joe Brady was big on it last year. Every time LSU won a game, he tweeted out 1-0. Same thing here with the Carolina Panthers for Joe Brady. So they've kind of gotten that mindset, it seems like, of, hey, here's all we can do. We can take all these games one game at a time. And it is coach speak, but you can, when you're in their situation, you don't look ahead. There's nothing right now to look ahead to, right? Last year, you probably fell into that trap of, hey, let's don't look ahead. But they just need to focus on their opponent, their responsibilities, and everything that they have coming to them this week. And, yeah, they know they're underdogs. Every locker room I've ever been in, even if you don't bet, like, if you're an underdog, if you're a favorite, that information. It's probably like the third thing out of the coach's mouth on Monday when he's standing in front of the team. Hey, guys, this is what they think about you. 14 points, 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, everybody knows.
Yeah, I noticed that when they're big favorites, nobody ever really says anything, because every now and then no coaches say anything. Every now and then you'll hear a player after a game like, nobody thought we could do it. Actually, you guys were 21-point favorites. Everybody thought you could do it. It wasn't that big of a deal. We talked about Jay Ward for a minute. He was telling yesterday about how they may improve against those pick routes.
We have to prepare our film study. I noticed more teams like to try to pick us from our first game because we didn't handle it as well. But I said we're improving on it better, though, because we don't see it as much as we do now than we did at the beginning of the season. We can tell when it's coming, though, because, 2 wide receivers are tight, so somebody has to back up.
You didn't think it was all that good of a pick that was run that got him on the 65-yarder, but LSU bit on that play. So something that they've struggled with, frankly, all season,
yeah.
and Jimbo's going to run it at them.
Yeah, and there's 2 veteran players that struggle with it. I mean, Derek Stingley and Cordell Flott. I mean, yeah, they might be sophomores, but they've played a lot of football in their LSU career. And obviously, Stingley was following his guy, and Cordell Flott's the one that got picked. So you have to know pre-snap that it's coming. That's half the battle.
He said they do.
Okay, well, prove it to me.
Sure.
Show me that you do. Because with their alignment, I've said it all week, that's really the only thing that they could do is that pick play that they ran. Run a go from the outside and come off his hip on the inside. Okay, well, they're going to run it. Jimbo is going to run it. And that doesn't mean that he's going to show you like Arkansas showed you. They could do it, have a receiver out wide, motion Smith out of the backfield, where he motions right into the inside hip of that outside receiver, and here it comes. Okay, well, that's a look that you didn't see last week, but it's the same look at the end of the day once the ball snaps. So be ready for all of that type of stuff.
And finally, what do you think A&M's defensive front?
I think it's improved. I think both sides of the ball for them on the line of scrimmage is one of the big reasons why they are where they're at right now.
This is Liam Shanahan, LSU starting center, on that Aggie defensive line.
They're a good group. Definitely watching film, kind of starting looking at them yesterday. They're a good group. There's a reason why they've done as well as they have this year. They've done really well stopping the run. It's going to be a big challenge for us, like every week is here in the SEC. But I'm excited for it. Looking forward to getting after it today at practice, getting a little bit more of the game plan installed, and getting ready to go.
LSU had to really grind against Arkansas. That offensive line just kind of scrapped, did what they could. Is A&M a significant upgrade from the Arkansas defensive front?
I don't think so, because when I start talking about fronts, I am talking about front sevens, all right, not just the 4 down guys. And I think, as you've heard me say on this show all year long, that Arkansas's front seven was one that I respected the hell out of because of the way and the brand that they played football. So even some people last week, when you're watching the game, when you're watching Arkansas and the announcer said for the 97th time that they were down to a certain amount of players on the defensive line, yeah, but you have to say, okay, well, their front seven still had some really, really good linebackers in there. They're a team that's got 16 sacks on the year. LSU's got 16, so about middle of the conference as far as getting after the quarterback. So to me, they're better in the run game than they are getting after the quarterback, pushing upfield.
Ask Us is next in the I'm sorry, you had
I had something that I have to say before I forget. We're watching college basketball today. Number 1 South Carolina had a game against Charleston.
With the South Carolina, this is women's basketball?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, women's basketball, College of Charleston, South Carolina. The final score in that contest was 119-38.
119-38.
Now South Carolina's the number 1 team in the country, but yeah, that's a lot to a little.
It is. What was the spread? I'm kidding.
I'll find it for you. No, they have spread.
No, I don't. Probably not on that game. I'm thinking.
They might.
Probably not. I'm thinking South Carolina probably covered
no
if they did.
No spread. 119-38.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny in the Ask Us in the Bayou Ford chat when we come back. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
We told you about the Haspel Holiday pop-up sale, 11358 Perkins Road. That's near Willow Grove and Bistro Byron's. It's a terrific opportunity for you to see the Haspel seersucker suits and the Haspel line of clothing. We had a great time in there. This limited time holiday sale. The Haspel seersucker rarely on sale. It's a great time. Terrific prices, and this is a time to get ahead of spring and catch a great deal. Haspel is clothing made for a good time.
Do not miss the pop-up sale going on right now. Like Hanny mentioned, limited time in Baton Rouge. Take full advantage of that. This is a locally owned business. Support your local businesses. They're also made in the USA, so American manufacturing as well. And in the land of 2 seasons, Christmas and summer, Haspel's lightweight, breathable cotton clothing works year-round. I can tell you what that tuxedo I got. Cannot wait to wear that seersucker tuxedo. Don't forget, you can go to haspel.com to learn more information. Don't miss the pop-up shop here in Baton Rouge.
Saints coverage, Chiefs, Cowboys, Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday Night Football. From the opening kickoff to the playoffs and the Super Bowl, the NFL lives on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hello?
What's up, E? What you doing?
Chilling at the office working. You?
Hanging at the job site. Chilling.
Roof's up?
Hey, Greg, roof up? Roof's up. Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up! Roof's up! Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
T-Bob Hebert here with breaking news. Front to Back Boat Services is the shop to upgrade your boat tech this fall. With not 1 but 2 NMEA certified techs, who better to install your Panoptic sonar, your HD displays. You want to see the fish under the water before you even cast? They have that. Trolling motor you could control with your iPhone? They have that. So what are you waiting for? Get into Front to Back Boat Services right now. Upgrade your boat tech. Make your boating dreams come true. Front to Back Boat Services.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
You may not know about the 4Kids Foundation, but you've probably heard of the Zurich Classic. And the Zurich Classic exists because of 4Kids. But it's what happens after the tournament that really counts. 100% of the proceeds are donated by the 4Kids Foundation to hundreds of local charities, totaling more than $40 million, all to help local children and families in need. 4Kids helps kids through golf, because every child deserves a shot at a brighter future.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
If I built a van, it would do more than haul.
It would carry my entire business. I'd make it available in dozens, make not thousands of configurations.
It would keep an eye on my fleet.
And an eye out for danger.
If I built a van, I'd make it available in diesel and gas. And I'd build it right here in South Carolina.
Introducing the all-new Sprinter, starting at $33,790. Built in the USA. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for a Hump Day edition of AFR presented by Pluckers. We'll preview the weekend ahead in the SEC with Russ Mitchell. It's a Whiskey Wednesday. Taylor Calandro join us. 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hangin' with Hester and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 1130 The Tiger.
In the Bayou Ford chat, we do ask us every day to end the show, so let's get to it. Today is National Tie One On Day. As Craig points out, it should be every day in 2020. What was the college days place? Everybody said, let's go and tie one on. For us, it was Fred's. They did Sunset Club on Thursday afternoon, and we did that more than once, I would say.
Our big spots, we went to Fred's after the game, Bogey's in the middle of the week.
Ask us, does your wife sample things from your plate, and are you okay with that?
Oh, yeah. Anybody in my kids, Katie, they can sample whatever they want from my plate. Now, I'm not eating after anybody else.
Right.
I don't share drinks. I don't share forks, even before COVID. I don't do that. No, sir.
My wife doesn't do that. I mean, if she asked me, I'd let her. But no, she's not one of those that is going to pick off my plate. She's pretty picky about what she eats. Ask us, is there a product that you prefer not to promote? So this made me think of a story. This was back in the 90s, and we had a meeting about a product that was, let me just say, for male enhancement, if you will. There was a certain member of the staff that took exception to having to promote that particular product because he wasn't having any problems in that area. It looked a lot like Richard Condon in that meeting. So he went nose to nose with the sales manager. I am not saying this. Made me think of that story.
I mean, I'm sure there's a long list.
I'm not going to promote anything I don't believe in, but I just thought of that. I just thought of that story.
Yeah, T-Bob took it over.
Ask us, do you eat Thanksgiving leftovers? Absolutely. Turkey sandwiches are great.
Yeah, I'm going to eat all leftovers. I'm a big leftovers fan.
My
wife cooked lasagna last night. When I get home at 3:35, lasagna will be on my plate.
Okay, I'm coming to your house. I love lasagna. Ask us, what color Monsters does O drink? I have no idea. Is that something we should know?
No.
Is that common?
I don't think it matters. I think it's just, whatever he can get his hands on.
Let's see. Ask us, does Texas A&M make cups and rings this year?
Oh, well, they like to make their cups about regular season victories, so probably.
Ask us, Jacob, if you were playing special teams on a kick return, would you block a female kicker? Because Vanderbilt may have one.
Yeah. I mean, you have to.
Right.
The risks are out there, and she would be offended if you didn't block her.
She's not asking for special treatment here. She wants to. She wants to play. Absolutely.
I mean, and in the heat of the moment, it would be very difficult. Not, you know what I'm saying? And so, yeah. And she might truck you. You don't know that.
That's right. Don't take anything for granted. Ask us, do you inject your turkey?
Like I told y'all yesterday, we go Team Ham. Team Ham.
So no turkey at all? Because we get turkey and ham.
And my mom does turkey, but I don't do turkey. And so we all prefer ham at the house. So my wife actually is kind of our Thanksgiving tradition. We'll go ham and roast, like a good rump roast. And my wife, oof, I'm going to be fat tomorrow.
That's okay. Ask us, where was it? Beer or whiskey for Turkey Day? So for me,
I go beer.
I'm going to go beer after lunch, but for the actual lunch, probably a little wine.
Okay.
Probably a little wine. We got a soup. We got a soup appetizer.
Right.
And there's only 5 of us going to be at the house this year. It's small, we understand what's going on around the world. There's only 5 of us, so we'll have the soup, and then I just think the wine goes with the turkey, with the dressing and stuff like that. It's but when we watch the game afterward, it's Coker's Light for sure.
There you go.
Let's see. Ask us, what was your impression, if any, of Coach O when he was the head coach at Ole Miss?
I knew him already because of him recruiting USC, and he recruited Evangel. So I had a good relationship with him. I knew that they worked hard. I knew they were hard-nosed, and I think that he had a team in place, as we saw after. He had a team in place that if they would have given him a little bit more time, would have been a really, really good Ole Miss team. And now, because even when they were down, 35 points, it didn't matter. Remember, in 06, they came here, and it was an overtime game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
like one
maybe.
Overtime game, or we had to score. So
what I remember about that is that he was hopelessly outgunned in almost every aspect, whether it be personnel, resources. The story that Mike Detillier likes to tell his story about so this would have either been 05 or it had to be 05, that he was talking to Jamarcus Russell, who he knew from recruiting, and Russell looked over and said, "Coach, I'm bigger than all your linemen." Now, Jamarcus was a big guy, but he was the quarterback, and he was bigger than all the linemen. Yeah. So my impression of him was that he didn't have a fighting chance the first 2 years, and barely in the third. How it would have turned out after that, I don't know. But I do remember saying to myself, "Man, this guy's got no shot." I mean, not with the personnel that he's been given. Let's see. I think you can go to the spin the wheel.
So I do need to mention this because it was a good submission. We asked the question, what actor or actress plays the same character in almost everything they're in? My wife sent one in that I didn't see till after the show, Jason Statham. And I'm going to watch every Jason Statham movie. I know he's the same guy. I know his accent's going to go in and out depending on if he's supposed to be American or if he's supposed to be what he is, which is British. But it doesn't really matter. I'm going to watch it, and he's going to kick a lot of ass, and I'm going to enjoy every second of it.
Okay, so I thought of a couple after the show, which is always and I don't think this guy makes movies anymore. He's not a very nice person, as I understand it. But Steven Seagal was the same guy.
Man, Under Siege,
every
great.
one of him. And before him, the late Charles Bronson.
Yeah.
It was, hey, man, he was
What about
bad dude, right?
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah. Well, I'm not entirely sure, but I think that Seagal and Van Damme are the same person. I think they just changed the movie titles and the names.
Put some respect on those guys' names. I mean, that ponytail that Steven Seagal had was superb. All right, what's the best or worst practical joke that you've played on someone or that was played on you?
Oh wow.
Okay, so for me, when I was in Denver, Peyton was giving me hell about something. He was I really honestly forget what it was, and so to get back at him, I blew up a picture of Josh Booty was on this national magazine. Josh Booty was the #1 quarterback in the country. Yeah. Peyton was #2, and the whole magazine was Josh Booty. And then in the top right corner, wee little picture was Peyton Manning, and I put it in his locker for him to see. Now, it worked out for him, obviously.
Yeah.
But if you know Peyton, you know how competitive he is, it still gets at him.
One of my good friends, using my air quotes here, when I turned 18, says, we're gonna take you out, because back then you could get into a bar and drink at 18. And they said, you're going to take you out and get your drinks. And okay, well, this sounds great, And I was in college at the time. I didn't turn 18 until I got into college. And he says, okay, now I'm going to buy tequila shots for everybody for your 18th birthday. And this is great. And so they bring over this great big tray of tequila shots. Well, this went on for, let's say, way too many tequila shots. And I'm like, man, there were like 15 of us there. Like, wow, you keep buying all of these tequila shots? I mean, 15 shots of tequila. Well, as you can have probably figured out by now, I was drinking tequila and everybody else was drinking water. Yeah. And so we reprised that on a member of the staff here years ago. Cade, you were there that night that we recycled that joke. Yeah. But they got me. They got me good. I did not feel good the next day. I don't remember
why
how many
am I such a wimp? They are crushing these.
Yeah, everybody. Oh, and look, they could have got Oscars. You know, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Right.
Good. That's a good one.
It worked.
When's the last time you got to tell someone, I told you so? Now, some people like to do that more than others. I try not to do it because I don't like being the guy that said, aha, I told you, right? You don't want to be that guy in our business. But I will say I went on a victory tour when it came to Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year because everyone told me I was crazy.
Yeah. I didn't really – I try not to do it myself, but when LSU beat Florida in 97, I was the only fool that picked them to do that. I mean, they had barely beaten Vanderbilt the week before, and I got called. But the two best predictions I've ever made in my life, that they would beat Florida in 97, they would win all the games in 2003, and I almost got that one right. I got a lot of credit for those things. I didn't really have to say much anything. I was the only, like I said, yo-yo that was crazy enough to go out on that particular limb. Tiger Zone tonight following the Ed Ogeron show. For Cade Wazan, for Paul O'Neill, for Jacob Hester, I'm Charles Hanagriff saying thank you and good afternoon. Hanging with Hester and Hanny, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hanging with Hester and Hanny.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovative.